Chapter 950. Jiang Tian was still at the top of the stairs, and there were a few hundred more steps to go up. Together with the stairs of the Green Hill Palace, there were more than 2,000 steps. Li Zixing was obviously trying to humiliate Jiang Tian and intimidate Jiang Tian, so that Jiang Tian would realize his situation. Why aren't you kneeling? Do you want to die? Jiang Tian's lips curled into a mocking smile. Before he could say anything, Li Zixing had already roared loudly. He was a 9th-level Foundation Establishment cultivator, and was only a step away from the sect masters and the city lords. He was on par with many elites. At this moment, a violent pressure was being emitted. Many people had a suffocating feeling that they couldn't breathe properly. Ding Lingdang stood up angrily and flew to Jiang Tian's side. She shouted at Li Zixing, "Commander Li, Immortal Master Jiang is here to negotiate on behalf of Earth. He isn't a criminal. Why are you humiliating him like this?" "Why?" Li Zixing glanced at her and sneered mockingly. "Because he's an ant from Earth and his level is too low. I can bully him. What do you think? Aren't you taking advantage of someone's precarious position to bully them? What kind of righteous sect are you? What kind of seniors are you?" Ding Lingdang said angrily. "Why didn't you kill Immortal Master Jiang when he was still a cultivator? Now that he's seriously injured and his power is gone, you jump out. Get out!" Li Zixing's furious roar directly shook Ding Lingdang until her qi and blood surged, and she stumbled back. He said with disdain, "Of course I'm taking advantage of him. Of course I'm bullying him. Do you think I'll kill him when he's at his strongest?" Li Zixing looked down at Jiang Tian like a god, and mocked him as much as he could. "I'm going to bully you. Hee, the feeling of stepping on the number 1 ant on Earth is really nice." At this moment, numerous gazes converged onto Jiang Tian. Some were inquiring, some were regretful, some were mocking, and some were taking pleasure in his misfortune. This person turned out to be the number 1 person in the world of Earth. It could be said that he was unparalleled in the limelight, but he acted recklessly and made an enemy of the heavenly star small world. Now that he was being humiliated like this, it was simply too miserable. Wasn't it good to be the best in the world on Earth? Why did you come here to court death? Too stupid. You will suffer retribution sooner or later. Ding Lingdang still wanted to say something. However, Jiang Tian pulled her behind him and said indifferently, "That's enough, Lingdang. With just these little trash, they can't bully me. Kong Teichu, you are really arrogant. Don't you understand the situation in front of you?" At this moment, a chuckle was heard. Miayu was escorted out of the Green Hill Palace by a few disciples. He looked down at Jiang Tian and mocked him. "In the beginning, I gave you many chances to take you in as a disciple, but you rejected me." Miayu's face was full of sarcasm. She sneered and said, "You are too arrogant and don't know when to stop. It can be said that one wrong step led to many wrong steps. Now, you have walked to the opposite side of the entire stellar sky domain. Have you ever thought of today's outcome?" "Outcome?" Jiang Tian looked at Miayu and Miao Yi behind her with a mocking look. He chuckled and said, "I am a little curious what will happen to me today." "Kong Teichu, why did you come?" Miao Yi's face was full of distress. She sighed helplessly in her heart. She had already persuaded her master many times, but Miayu was stubborn and didn't listen at all. There was nothing she could do. "But Kong Teichu, don't you know how dangerous this gathering is? Why did you come?" Miayu didn't say anything. "What outcome?" Humph. Chu Yunxiu had already stood up. She leaned against the railing and looked down at Jiang Tian. She sneered mockingly. "Kong Teichu, do you still think you were the number 1 person in the Earth domain back then? You have already been invaded by the demonic aura. You have lost all your cultivation. Besides, even if your cultivation is still there, how can you be a match for these prodigies, sect lords and city lords? You have been relying on elixirs and secret techniques to forcefully raise your cultivation, but you have to understand that this is like killing the goose that lays the golden eggs. Sooner or later, you will be exposed." Chu Yonghui, on the other hand, ran down the stairs and stopped in front of Jiang Tian, mocking him. "Haha, Kong Teichu, oh Kong Teichu. I didn't expect you to be so stubborn and arrogant even when you are about to die. I really admire you for this." Chu Yunxiu looked at Zhou Yunkai with a face full of admiration, then mocked Jiang Tiandao. Kong Teichu, not to mention the sect lords, even the golden core perfected immortal Li Longyuan, Zhou Yunkai and the other prodigies are not something an ant like you can compare to. Zhou Yunkai originally didn't want to fight with a weakling like Jiang Tian. He didn't want to lose face. After all, he was third on the prodigy list. If he bullied Jiang Tian, who had lost all his cultivation, there would be gossip. Fine, I will go and humiliate this person, and win a smile from the beauty. But when he saw Chu Yunxiu's tender gaze, Zhou Yunkai's heart was suddenly filled with passion. He grabbed the woman's waist and flew over. Chu Yunxiu could see that he was interested in her. The more she thought about it, the prouder she became. That long-lost sense of superiority came again. Kong Teichu, are you still so arrogant? Can you still slap me like you did on Jadewell Peak? Why can't I? Jiang Tian laughed. He raised his hand and slapped Chu Yunxiu dozens of meters away. She landed on the square like a dead dog. Bastard you! Chu Yonghui was shocked and angry. His expression changed drastically. He was shocked because Jiang Tian seemed to still have some cultivation. He was angry because Jiang Tian dared to beat his daughter in public. You are the one who has lost all your cultivation. How dare you be so rash? Before he finished speaking, Jiang Tian had already slapped Chu Yonghui to Chu Yunxiu's side. How about it? Jiang Tian walked up step by step. He looked at the two people whose faces were stained with blood mockingly. He said indifferently, I could beat you that day, and I can still beat you now. An ant should have the self-awareness of an ant. Lie on the ground and don't make a sound. Die silently. How dare you provoke me? Zhou Tianjia, why did you? Chu Yunxiu was extremely miserable. The blood on her face dyed the ground red. She looked at Zhou Yunkai and shouted. Kong Teichu, you didn't lose your cultivation. Or is your physical body strong? Zhou Yunkai was also shocked. He looked at Jiang Tian cautiously. Just now, he clearly used a technique, and emitted a monstrous amount of sword energy to set up a defense around Chu Yonghui and his daughter. Especially after seeing Chu Yunxiu being slapped to the ground, he strengthened his defenses and pushed his cultivation base to the limit. But Jiang Tian ignored his defense and easily broke through it twice in a row. He hit Chu Yunxiu and his daughter. Also, he could feel that Jiang Tian didn't use any technique at all. He only used his physical strength. But his physical strength was able to break through the defense of the third-ranked heaven's favorite? This was too terrifying. You ant, you have no right to talk to me. Jiang Tian dragged Ding Lingdang onto the square of life and death. He said coldly, Get out of my way. Kong Teichu, how dare you humiliate me? You're courting death. Zhou Yunkai's face was filled with rage. He flew to the square and blocked Jiang Tian's path. A sharp sword intent surged out from his body. No matter what, he was still the third on the heaven's favorite list. Even the city lord and the sect leader had to be polite when they saw him. He had never been so disrespected and humiliated. All of a sudden, a chilling aura filled the air as the sword chi revealed its sharpness. Within a radius of a few hundred meters, a chilling aura filled the air as many experts retreated. Don't worry. It'll be your turn soon. Jiang Tian didn't care about Zhou Yunkai's sharp sword energy. He didn't even look at it. He didn't care at all. Bang! Bang! Jiang Tian stepped forward and kicked Chu Yonghui and his daughter, causing them to vomit blood and scream miserably. Kong Teichu, good, very good. Keep hitting. How many times you hit me today? I'll pay you back 10 times, 100 times. Chu Yonghui screamed. Jiang Tian raised his eyebrows and was about to kill. However, Ding Lingdang grabbed Jiang Tian and begged softly, Big brother Jiang, don't be rash. My father is still in Li Longyuan's hands. Jiang Tian slowly retracted his murderous intent. He pulled Ding Lingdang and walked toward the Green Hill Hall. However, he didn't expect that the Feathercoat Guards and Li Zixing had already attacked. Bastard, stop right there. How dare you beat up a VIP of the Green Hill Association in front of the Feathercoat Guards? Do you think we're useless? Do you think you can meet Palace Lordly like this? Kneel down and kowtow every step before you can enter the hall. Many feather robe guards blocked Jiang Tian from the front and shouted angrily. Li Zixing stood behind Jiang Tian. His face was dark, and his eyes were like a venomous snake's. Suddenly, without saying a word, his figure flashed like a ghost and pierced through Jiang Tian's heart from the back with his sword. This was the specialty of the Feathercoat Guards. They were proficient in the art of assassination. He was like a dormant venomous snake, waiting patiently. When the opportunity came, he would strike decisively. It was silent and there was no howling wind, but it was extremely vicious and impossible to guard against. At this moment, several Feathercoat Guards are confronting Jiang Tian and attracting Jiang Tian's attention. Li Zixing is attacking from behind. In addition to his strength, it can be said that Kong Teichu has no chance of survival. Many experts were shocked. Attacking me? You're really confident. Jiang Tian didn't even turn his head. He just reached behind him and made a grabbing motion. Whoosh! A vast force appeared out of nowhere and grabbed at Li Zixing. Li Zixing suddenly felt alarmed. His vast true yuan erupted and protected his body. He also poured it into his sword. However, it couldn't withstand a single blow. Bang! With a bang, the sword cracked and shattered. The fragments fluttered like butterflies. Then, Li Zixing was grabbed by Jiang Tian's true yuan palm, as if he had fallen into the claws of an ancient demonic beast. Break! Li Zixing was shocked. His aura surged like a raging tide, trying to break free from Jiang Tian's true yuan palm. However, it was useless. Bang! Bam! He was lifted up high by Jiang Tian and smashed on the ground like a dead dog. He screamed, Li Zixing, you want me to kowtow with every step? Otherwise you'll kill me? Do you think I'm an ant? Jiang Tian raised his foot and stepped on his head. Boom! With a loud sound he stepped on the hard ground. Blood spurted out. Jiang Tian stepped on a pool of blood and sneered. What about now? Who's under my foot? Whose face is being stepped on? Chapter 951. Everyone was shocked. They couldn't believe it. This kid's battle prowess is still so strong? He was actually able to crush the treasured sword of Li Zixing, a 9th-level foundation establishment cultivator, and capture him like an eagle catching a chick. Li Zixing couldn't fight back at all. What's going on? At that moment, even the 8 prodigies stood up and stared at Jiang Tian in shock. They couldn't believe what they were seeing. His true essence was still there. Did he not lose his cultivation? Could it be that the effects of the Yuan Burst pill still hadn't subsided? Bastard, let go of me! Li Zixing shouted angrily. His eyes were spitting fire and his face was hideous. Streams of surging true yuan burst out from his body like twinkling stars, like a giant dragon surging. He was Li Longyuan's nephew and the commander of the Feather Gown Guards. He was like a special intelligence agency in this world that monitored all the cultivators in the world. When had he ever been humiliated and trampled on like this? Kong Teichu, I swear I'll torture you with 100 kinds of torture methods of the Feather Gown Guards. I'll eat your flesh, sleep on your skin, and grind your bones to dust. Crack! Jiang Tian didn't say anything and directly stomped his head into the hard stone floor. Blood spurted out and his cheekbones were all broken. Li Zixing screamed like a pig being slaughtered. At this time, everyone in the square finally reacted. Fellow cultivator, since you want to talk about Dao and fight, don't lose face. Immortal Master Jiang, why don't you let Li Zixing go first? The sect master of the giant sword sect, Master Ashen Pine, appeared from the Green Hill Palace and looked at Jiang Tian with a smile. This time, you're here to talk to Li Longyuan and the other sect masters on an equal footing. You're very senior. It's too degrading to fight with a junior. The Quake Dawn sect master scolded. Kong Teichu, let go of Li Zixing. Do you know he's my master's nephew? The 8 geniuses roared in unison. The furious Wave City Lord, Sung Hongyuan, looked down at Jiang Tian and waved his hand. If you dare to kill again, the entire Heavenly Star small world will not rest until you are dead. In an instant, countless Castellan and Ancestor-level experts were trying to intimidate Jiang Tian. Monstrous waves of pressure crashed down on Jiang Tian like a tsunami. Immortal Master Jiang, let Li Zixing go. We can still discuss this. Nearby, Zhou Yunkai also spoke coldly. If you have the guts, then fight me. I'll let you, an ant from the Earth world, know what true swordsmanship is. He activated his cultivation technique, and small swords flew out from the sword sheath on his back like swimming fish. There were hundreds of them, and they formed a 3-feet-long sword in his hand. It was also a mother-son sword. He said with disdain, "I'll let you know that your sword Dao is nothing but an unorthodox sword Dao in front of me. It's nothing." The 3-foot-long sword trembled slightly and flickered with a cold light. Space rippled violently as if it had been sliced apart by the enormous and sharp sword Qi. The small fish-like swords were originally of normal size, but after being refined to the extreme, they formed a mother sword that weighs 10,000 pounds. The Li River Sword Sect Master's eyes widened as he exclaimed. In front of such a terrifying sword Qi and sword intent, he even felt that it was difficult to catch up and that he was past his prime. He said with a bitter face, "Ah, the Heavenly Star Palace is too powerful. He's just a young prodigy, yet he's able to suppress us. Kong Teichu's sword Dao is just an unorthodox sword Dao. How can it compare to Zhou Yunkai's sword Dao?" Master Yuan Jing of the Prajna Temple smiled bitterly and shook his head. "Ah, if Kong Teichu is given some time, I'm afraid that not many people in this world can stop him." Sect Master Shi of the Snake Sect sighed with regret. "It's a pity that he's too flashy and doesn't know how to be tactful. Zhou Yunkai can be called a sword immortal. He's too powerful." Many people were shocked and dumbfounded. "Did you see that? Kong Teichu. How many experts have come this time? Haha, hurry up and kneel and submit." Chu Yunxiu laughed maniacally. "Kong Teichu, let me go. Just now you caught me off guard. If we had fought fairly, I would have beaten the shit out of you." Li Zixing roared in rage. His position was special. He was in charge of all investigations. Even sect masters and city lords were somewhat afraid of him. But now, in front of tens of thousands of people, Jiang Tian had stepped on him. This was truly an unbearable humiliation. "Zhou Yunkai, you're worthy of being called a sword immortal? Am I an unorthodox sword Dao?" Jiang Tian looked contemptuously at Zhou Yunkai and smiled. "You don't even have the right to make me use my sword. Why would I need to use my sword to kill you? Haha, I even dared to kill the Azure Mystic Dao child, let alone an ant like you." Jiang Tian swept his gaze over the crowd, and then revealed a disdainful expression. Suddenly he stomped down again. Bang! Blood gushed out like a tide. Broken bones and internal organs flew everywhere. This time, Li Zixing's chest was pierced by Jiang Tian's foot. His whole body sank into the ground, forming a human-shaped pit. But after all, he was a cultivator. He didn't die but was still screaming. "How dare you?" Countless people shouted angrily. "How dare you ignore me? You're courting death." Zhou Yunkai was furious and directly attacked. Clang! The 3-foot mother sword in his hand was as heavy as a mountain, but in his hand, it was as light as a snake. The long sword stabbed out. Suddenly, there were flashes of cold light in the air. It stretched for 100 meters and strangled toward Jiang Tian. Wherever the blade passed, the space seemed to be destroyed. Fierce wind poured in like a tide. Within 100 meters, overlords in the middle or early stage of the foundation establishment stage couldn't withstand the attraction, and wanted to fly over. Moreover, they felt a pressure coming from inside their bodies. It seemed that their eyes were about to explode, their internal organs were expanding, their blood and urine were about to flow out, and their skin was about to burst because of the blood vessels. Zhou Yunkai's sword Dao is so powerful and fast. It's so fast that it created a huge vacuum. Master Ashen Pine of the Giant Sword Sect had a look of admiration. He clapped his hands and said, "The surrounding air flows in reverse, so everyone feels that the pressure inside and outside is out of balance." The sect leader of the Li River Sword Sect was dazzled, but his eyes were wide open. He didn't miss a single detail. This kind of sword Dao is much more powerful than those powerful moves that shake the heavens and the earth. Prodigies like Zhou Yunkai were the trump cards of the Starry Sky Palace's younger generation. They rarely showed themselves. It was a rare opportunity for him to learn the true meaning of the Starry Sky Palace's sword Dao. The sect leader of the Li River Sword Sect sighed in amazement. "It's attacking from all directions. Although it seems powerful and destructive, the power is scattered. When the Dao techniques and sword techniques attack the opponent, they've already caused a lot of weakening. Zhou Yunkai's sword intent, true yuan, and strength are all highly concentrated on the sword. There's no loss at all. His sword Dao has reached the pinnacle. His control is too precise. At the side, Master Yuan Jing, the snake sect leader, and the others nodded in amazement. Is that all? Jiang Tian did not move at all. He let the countless sword qi attack his body without moving at all. In the blink of an eye, the sharp tip of the sword was less than an inch away from Jiang Tian's chest. At this moment, Jiang Tian raised his jade-white right hand and clamped down on the sword. You're humiliating me. Seeing this, Zhou Yunkai's expression changed. He was shocked and angry. He's too arrogant. The crowd also exclaimed. At this moment, Jiang Tian didn't use any true yuan or divine ability. He was completely relying on his physical body to block the sword qi. He was using the strength of one hand to control Zhou Yunkai's swords. This was too arrogant, too condescending. Go to hell. However, Zhou Yunkai was so angry that he laughed. His sword was like a stream of light as it rushed forward. Jiang Tian used his physical body to take on his sword move and sword intent. This was clearly looking down on him. Are you trying to humiliate me? Then you'll have to pay with your life. Zhou Yunkai made up his mind. His sword Dao, strength, and speed had all reached the limit of what he could achieve. But suddenly, Jiang Tian's thumb and middle finger clamped down on the sword. How is this possible? Zhou Yunkai's face flushed red. He used his true yuan, and used all his strength. However, his swords couldn't be stabbed or pulled out. They were fixed between Jiang Tian's crystal-clear fingers. It was as if they were stuck in a 10,000-ton boulder. Kong Teichu's physical body and strength are so strong? Master Ashenpine and the other experts were shocked. To be honest, Zhou Yunkai's sharp sword was something that even the sect leader, and city lord would have to be cautious and tired of dealing with. I've said that Kong Teichu is very strong and has excellent talent. Master Desolator glanced at Master Ashenpine and said lightly, what a pity. A strong physical body belongs to the category of martial arts. And this is a battle of magical powers. It's about true yuan and divine abilities. Sure enough, Zhou Yunkai also revealed a mocking expression. He snorted and said, Kong Teichu, no matter how strong your physical body is, you're not a match for a cultivator. Go to hell. Suddenly he used his divine ability. Thousands of Taoist flying swords were like startled bees on a beehive. They scattered with a buzz. Then they turned the tip of their swords one after another. The densely packed swords pierced toward Jiang Tiandong from all directions. With so many flying swords, it simply gave people a feeling of being unable to dodge. Kong Teichu, how can you imagine the divine abilities of a sword cultivator in the cultivation world? Zhou Yunkai looked down on Jiang Tian as if he was already a dead man. You're not worthy of using a sword. But at this moment, Jiang Tian flicked his fingers as if he was playing a pipa. Dense explosions erupted one after another. Every flying sword cracked and exploded the moment the sound rang out. In an instant, it was as if a string of firecrackers had been set off around Jiang Tian. Bang, bang, bang. Sparks flew everywhere. How is this possible? What Dharma treasure did you use to break my flying swords? Zhou Yunkai turned pale with fright. Every time a sound rang out, a flying sword would shatter. In an instant he had lost contact with thousands of flying swords. I've said before, do I need a sword to kill you? Jiang Tian smiled mockingly. His right hand paused, and leaves floated in the air. What? Flying leaves breaking 1,000 swords. Everyone was shocked. The 8 prodigies were all shocked. Cold sweat had already covered their backs. Kong Teichu had just used leaves to break Zhou Yunkai's flying swords with a flick of his fingers. How was this possible? Not to mention Miao Yi, Chu Yunxiu, and the other young prodigies. Even the seniors on the heavenly law ranking were stunned. They couldn't believe it. Master Ashenpine Mieyu, the Quakedan sect leader, Yuan Jing, and the others were all dazed. They stood there like clay statues. Chapter 952. How is this possible? You, an ant from Earth, how could you break my flying sword with a leaf? Zhou Yunkai couldn't believe it. He screamed like a cat that had been set on fire. He felt like he was disillusioned. His head was muddled and the world was spinning. He couldn't take the blow. He had cultivated in seclusion for 10 years, and finally reached third place on the prodigy roll. He came out of seclusion to attend the gathering to amaze the world. But he didn't expect that the flying sword he had cultivated for 10 years would be broken by Jiang Tian with a leaf in a second. Leaf. That was the flying sword he had refined 1,000 times. Even an ordinary sword wouldn't be able to break it, let alone his Dharma treasure flying sword. Zhou Yunkai, he hasn't lost his cultivation. He's still very powerful. Step back quickly. In the end, Master Ashenpine was the first to react. His body shook as he shouted a warning. In fact, Zhou Yunkai also realized this. His face was pale as he retreated quickly like a ghost. But it was too late. Jiang Tian's lips curled into a mocking smile. Thousands of leaves shot toward him like a rain of swords. Zhou Yunkai screamed. The leaves pierced through the light shield emitted by many protective Dharma treasures, and pierced into his meridians and acupoints. Then, they flew out with a cloud of blood. Zhou Yunkai was like a dead dog. He was carried dozens of meters away by the leaves and fell to the edge of the square. Flying leaves broke thousands of swords, stepped on the leader of the feather uniform guards, single-handedly defeated the third-place prodigy roll, and defeated him in one move. The whole place was dead silent. The tens of thousands of cultivators on the various peaks were silent. Everyone was dumbfounded. They were shocked to the extreme and couldn't believe it. What's going on? Isn't he at the second level of the foundation establishment stage, and has lost all his cultivation? I heard that demonic chi entered his body and he vomited blood. He's seriously injured. What's going on? After a long time, everyone came to their senses. They were confused and whispered to each other. Not to mention that they were confused. Even those sect and city lord level powerhouses didn't understand what was going on. Jiang Tian had clearly not emitted any true essence, nor had he used any divine ability, so how had he been able to control these leaves and form such a terrifying lethality? In Green Hill Palace, only Master Ashenpine looked at Desolate Desire with dissatisfaction and said, "Desolate Desire, you're mistaken. His cultivation is not only at the second level of foundation establishment." Master Ashenpine, don't stare. Can you tell me what's going on? As you can see, he's not releasing any aura at all. Demonic Desire also had a look of suspicion. Could it be that he had seen wrongly? Did Kong Teichu have an extremely powerful chi restraining cultivation technique? At the edge of the life and death arena, Zhou Yunkai staggered to his feet. Cultivators were cultivators after all. Even if they were beaten into a sieve, they were still full of vigor and could still hold on. His face alternated between green, red, and white like a crazy chameleon. He was ranked third on the prodigy list and represented the Starry Sky Palace to pressure Jiang Tian. Facing a piece of trash who had lost all his cultivation. Facing an abandoned person from the Earth realm. And using the flying sword technique that he was best at, he actually lost to Jiang Tian's leaf. He couldn't even withstand a single move. And Jiang Tian was still stepping on Li Zixing, controlling the leaves with only one hand. "I'm an ant. I can't even withstand a single blow? You're a sword immortal? You're a supreme sword Dao?" Jiang Tian stepped on Li Zixing and looked at Zhou Yunkai with a face full of mockery as he spoke indifferently. "Kong Teichu, I'm going to pull out your tendons, skin you alive, and grind your bones to dust." Zhou Kaiyun's anger soared to the sky, and his sword aura surged. A monstrous murderous aura soared into the sky, stirring up the clouds and shattering them. At this moment, Zhou Kaiyun was simply aggrieved to the extreme. An ant from Earth used a few leaves to break 1,000 of his flying swords. This was a great humiliation to him. This would make him the laughingstock of the heavenly star small world. Even if he died, he would still become a joke and be talked about forever. Boom. Zhou Kaiyun made his move. The surrounding sword aura surged and suddenly turned into thousands of sword auras that pierced towards Jiang Tian. The lethality of these sword auras surpassed the flying swords. And there were so many of them that they covered the sky and earth. They were so dense that they covered Jiang Tian like a torrential downpour. These sword auras were faintly blood red. This meant that Zhou Kaiyun had already used his natal sword aura, and almost exhausted all his blood essence. "Is this all you've got?" Jiang Tian's lips curled into a disdainful smile as he waved his hand. Boom. The sword auras that could cut through steel and penetrate tanks cracked and shattered under Jiang Tian's sleeves. The fragments danced in the air like withered leaves. Come on. Jiang Tian opened his right hand and slapped Zhou Kaiyun, who was spitting blood and had a pale face, into his hand. Kong Teichu, let go of me. Zhou Kaiyun screamed. At this moment, all the blood essence in his body had been exhausted by the attack just now. He was as weak as a 3-year-old child, and was at the mercy of others. Jiang Tian slapped Zhou Kaiyun's face and sneered. My sword art is unorthodox? Whoosh. Zhou Kaiyun flew out like a scarecrow. He lay on the ground like a dead dog and spat out a bunch of teeth. I'm an ant from Earth? Now do you still think so? Speak. Jiang Tian walked over and stepped on his face as he snorted. Seeing Jiang Tian's cold gaze, Zhou Kaiyun's heart skipped a beat. His anger turned into cold sweat. Jiang Tian's gaze was indifferent. He knew that Jiang Tian would definitely dare to kill him. Speak. Jiang Tian shouted. You're not an ant. I'm the ant. Zhou Kaiyun was scared. He was really scared. He begged with a pitiful face. Tu Yunxiu, look carefully. This is what you're relying on. Jiang Tian caught Zhou Kaiyun in his palm and slammed him down like a chick. Gah! Zhou Kaiyun screamed. His body was covered in blood and his flesh was torn as he lay on the ground. At this moment, he could only breathe in and not out. He trembled and did not dare to resist at all. How could this be? Tu Yunxiu was dumbfounded. She could not believe it. At this moment, she felt like she was dreaming. Kong Teichu was actually so powerful that he could even crush the third-place prodigy. Could it be that his cultivation was not only at the second level of foundation establishment? His cultivation was still there. Desolation made a mistake. Kong Teichu's cultivation is at least at the pseudo-core level, and he's not injured. The combat power he's showing now is definitely comparable to the sect leaders. At this moment, at least the prodigies and young talents upstairs realized what was going on. They were stunned. Some had fear in their eyes, and cold sweat covered their backs. Some clenched their fists and tensed up. Zhou Kaiyun's cultivation was about the same as theirs. Zhou Kaiyun was beaten so badly by Jiang Tian. If they went up, they would only end up the same way. Didn't you want to pull out my tendons, skin me, and burn my bones to ashes? Then try it. Jiang Tian approached Zhou Kaiyun as if he was taking a stroll in the park. He was about to kill him. Kong Teichu, that's enough. Suddenly, Master Ashenpine's face darkened and he said coldly, Zhou Kaiyun has already lost and can't fight anymore. Why do you have to be so aggressive? He can't fight anymore, and I'm going to let him go. Jiang Tian looked at Master Ashenpine with contempt and mockery. He kicked Zhou Kaiyun until he spat out blood, and his energy reserve shattered. What kind of logic are you talking about? Why didn't you stand out when everyone attacked me? A cripple who has lost all his cultivation. Kong Teichu, you've killed too many people and caused bloodshed time and time again. Today, I'm going to eliminate demons for the world, and protect the righteous path. Master Ashenpine's face turned red, but he still refused to argue. Then, she flew towards Jiang Tian with a murderous aura, as if she was going to attack Jiang Tian. Shameless. Darn Baldy, you're so shameless. At this moment, Ding Lai's angry roar suddenly sounded in the Green Hill Palace. Everyone was stunned, not knowing why or who he was scolding. All of a sudden, everyone realized that Jiang Tian's body suddenly froze and golden Buddhist light shrouded and suppressed him. Buddhist light formed a scroll of scriptures, large golden characters that surrounded Jiang Tian. Bright and upright, blazing to the extreme. They were like numerous small suns, dazzling and resplendent. However, every word and symbol was very dignified and sonorous, emitting the sound of metal clashing and shining with a metallic luster. Lines of scriptures shuttled back and forth like ropes, entangling Jiang Tian rapidly, and finally entangling Jiang Tian firmly. The previous abbot of the Demon Suppression Temple, the Master of Salvation, Master Shixiang's Buddhist restriction secret technique, the demon-slaying curse. Everyone's expression changed drastically as they suddenly realized. It turned out that Master Shixiang had taken advantage of Master Ashenpine's distraction to launch a sneak attack on Jiang Tian. Die. Master Ashenpine's eyes lit up and he roared. The giant sword behind him flew up and slashed towards Jiang Tian. Master Ashenpine's cultivation was at the perfected pseudo-core realm, and was only slightly inferior to Li Longyuan. Furthermore, he took advantage of Jiang Tian being trapped by the demon-slaying curse and waited for him to be exhausted, increasing his power. With a sweep of the giant sword, the sword light was like a torrential torrent, and the sword light was like a mountain pressing down. Jiang Tian was simply unable to dodge. Everything happened too quickly. Master Ashenpine and Master Shixiang's cooperation was too tacit. Many people couldn't react and were dumbfounded. After all, Master Ashenpine was the giant sword sect's leader. Master Shixiang was the previous abbot of the Demon Suppression Temple, and his seniority was even higher than Li Longyuan's. Both of them were high and mighty figures in this world, the leaders of famous righteous sections. They were highly respected and were the targets of all cultivators in the world. Who would have thought that they would launch a sneak attack and attack together without saying a word? Kong Teichu, be careful. Miao Yi exclaimed with a sobbing tone. Xiao Yingluo's face was pale, and Ding Lingdang was trembling with anger. How can you do this? If you can't beat him, what's the point of plotting? Even Miaoyu didn't expect Master Ashenpine and Master Shixiang to be so despicable. His expression suddenly changed and he said angrily. At this moment, Jiang Tian's eyes were filled with murderous intent, and a violent primeval essence surged outwards like a nuclear explosion. Gigi. The sutra ropes were like steel bars being pulled and twisted, making a teeth-numbing sound. Then, with a bang, the sutra ropes turned into fragments of golden light and exploded. The giant sword shattered. Master Ashenpine seemed to have been hit in the chest by an invisible cannonball, and was sent flying. Chapter 953. Bang. 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 Master Ashenpine landed on the ground and took more than 10 steps back. Every step he took created a big hole in the stone ground before he could stabilize himself. He felt something sweet in his throat and spat out a mouthful of blood. Jiang Tian's eyes were filled with killing intent. He stared at the Green Hill Palace and shouted, "Which bald donkey sneaked an attack? Come out and die." At that moment, Jiang Tian was really angry. If he hadn't broken through several levels after devouring the whirling divine tree, he might have died on the spot. Kong Teichu, what are you doing? This is the Green Hill Grand Meet. You can't be rash. The elders and eminent monks of the Heavenly Star Palace, the Giant Sword Sect, and the demon-subduing temple all shouted angrily. At the same time, they were secretly frightened. Not only was Master Ashenpine sent flying, but Master Shixiang, who was in the main hall, was also panting heavily. A few drops of blood seeped out of the corners of his mouth. He was obviously suffering from the backlash of his dermic powers. Seeing this, they were all shocked to the core. Master Shixiang was a fake core cultivator, and his seniority was even higher than Li Longyuan's. It was just that after the battle against Baizhe 1,000 years ago, he went into seclusion. Jiang Tian's current combat power was more than 10 times that of when he defeated Zhou Kaiyun. Could it be that Kong Teichu's cultivation had surpassed a fake core cultivator, and was a golden core cultivator? Kong Teichu, this is the Green Hill Grand Meet. Powerful cultivators and exalted immortals are gathered here. You can't mess around. The deputy sect master of the Giant Sword Sect roared loudly. Mess around? Ding Lai's mocking voice was heard and he sneered. Are you powerful cultivators or exalted immortals? Bah, you're just a bunch of despicable and shameless people who only know how to sneak attack. I'm glad that my name was removed from your list. I don't want to be with you at all. Ding Lai was agitated and cursed loudly. Jiang Tian stared at the Green Hill Palace and sneered. Bald donkey, you're not coming out to die, are you? There was no movement in the Green Hill Palace. After a while, Ding Lai's mocking voice rang out. They're scared out of their wits. They're discussing how to deal with you together. Haha. If you don't come out, I'll kill my way in. I'll kill you until you have nowhere to run. Suddenly, Jiang Tian's monstrous killing intent soared to the sky. This killing intent could even be seen with the naked eye. The thousands of people on the life and death platform immediately felt that terrifying killing intent, austere and violent. Even the spectators from the other mountains, even if they were a kilometer away, felt their hearts palpitating and found it difficult to breathe. All at once, none of the 10,000 cultivators, champions and over 1,000 exalted immortals dared to utter a word. Master Ashenpine, Shen Tij, Tseng Hongyuan, and the other sect and city masters all looked at Jiang Tian in shock. Their bodies were tense, and they were on full alert. They realized that they had miscalculated. In other words, Desolation had made a mistake, a serious mistake. The demon-suppressing temple had also made a mistake. At first, it was demonic desire who swore that Jiang Tian was only at the second level of foundation establishment. Then the demon-suppressing temple spread the news that Jiang Tian had been tainted by fiend qi at Crimson Thunder Mountain. As such, everyone thought that Jiang Tian's cultivation had dissipated after the fiend qi entered his body, and he was now a cripple. However, who would have thought that even with Master Xiang and Master Ashenpine working together, Jiang Tian still had the advantage, and was even suppressing them. At first, everyone was overbearing and mocking Kong Teichu because he had lost his cultivation, and was easy to bully. But now, feeling Jiang Tian's terrifying aura, that vast and surging true essence, everyone was shocked. They were all scared. How was he a cripple? How was that the aura of a foundation establishment or false core? That was clearly the aura of a golden core. Oh, demonic desire, you're a scammer. At that moment, the wind howled like a tsunami. On Square Bamboo Peak, the boundless spirit qi between heaven and earth formed a gigantic funnel-shaped vortex with a radius of 3 kilometers, gathering above Jiang Tian's head. His strength is not affected at all. In fact, it's even stronger. At that moment, Chu Yunxia was dumbfounded and her face was pale. As for Zhou Kaiyun and Li Zixing, they were wrapped in this vortex and spun like withered leaves. Blood dripped from their bodies as the true essence in their bodies flowed rapidly. If this continued, the two of them would die in less than 15 minutes. At that moment, Master Xiang in the Green Hill Palace was so shocked that his body was on the verge of collapsing. His face was pale as he said in a trembling voice, "This kid is so strong. I'm afraid we have to work together to suppress him. Palace Master Li, I'm afraid you have to do something." His sneak attack just now had succeeded, but it was shattered by Jiang Tian's violent true essence and mental energy. This was the difference between the quality of true essence and divine sense. Jiang Tian's true essence and divine sense were like refined steel, while theirs were like paper. This huge gap was not something he could make up for with various Buddhist techniques. Terrifying. Too terrifying. "It's fine if you don't want to come out." Jiang Tian's handsome face was very dark. His gaze was as cold as a blade and his words were like spring thunder. "Originally, I only wanted to kill a few culprits. But now, I Kong Teichu, don't mind going on a killing spree." Every word he uttered was like a giant cannon shooting across the sky. The rumbling sound waves had already materialized. Everything within 100 miles of the Green Hill Palace was shaking violently. From now on, all unrelated people must leave the Green Hill Palace within 3 minutes. Otherwise you'll be my enemy and I'll kill without mercy. Jiang Tian uttered a mantra. His words were law. Waves of sound waves blasted towards the Green Hill Palace like torrential waves, stirring up waves of runes. In that instant, many protective arrays were activated, forming layers of light shields that enveloped the Green Hill Palace. However, the rest of the people outside the Green Hill Palace were not so lucky. Early stage and mid-stage foundation establishment cultivators were knocked unconscious and sprawled on the ground. As for qi refinement cultivators, they vomited blood and cried for their parents. In fact, even a layer of the life and death ring was scraped off by the berserk sound waves like a typhoon. The cultivators of the small and medium-sized sects such as Snake Lust Sect, Li River Sword Sect and Wisdom Temple were all horrified as they retreated on streaks of light. That was the terror of Jiang Tian. At that moment, he was merely accumulating power to warn everyone. However, the materialization of sound waves could already shake the world and cause torrential waves. 3 minutes are up. I'm going to kill everyone here. Leave no one alive. A moment later, Jiang Tian swept his cold gaze towards Miayu, Master Ashenpine, Shen Tij, Tseng Hongyuan and the others. What a terrifying gaze. "Master, let's go. We could have stayed out of this." Fairy Miao Yi was only glanced at by Jiang Tian from the corner of his eye, but it was as if she had been stung by a poisonous scorpion. Her eyes, body and soul trembled in pain. Take your junior brothers and sisters and leave. I have to stay here today. Otherwise. A bitter smile appeared at the corner of Miao's mouth as he shook his head gently. She knew very well that if she left now, Li Longyuan would definitely not let her go. Jiang Tian would not let her go either. After all, she had spread the news that Jiang Tian's cultivation was only at the second stage foundation establishment realm. Whether it was Jiang Tian or the people of the Starry Sky Palace, they all hated her to the core. Fairy Miao Yi sighed softly and flew to Jiang Tian's side. She pleaded, Immortal Master Jiang, can I take Ding Ling Dang away? Don't worry, even if I die, I will ensure her safety. Jiang Tian's expression did not change as he sent out a gentle force, pushing the two women back several hundred meters. Then, without saying anything, he took a step forward and a torrential wave of air surged out. Bang! Li Zixing didn't even have the time to let out a shrill cry. He only let out a muffled groan before he directly exploded, transforming into a rain of sparkling and translucent flesh that rained down onto the ground. Jiang Tian was expressionless. He took a second step and waved his hand. Qi. Zhou Yunkai's ugly head flew 100 meters into the air, carrying a trail of blood. His body also exploded. Bang! Jiang Tian's eyes were cold as he took a third step. A dazzling golden sword light about 100 meters long condensed and swept towards Master Ashenpine. Block! Master Ashenpine cried out in shock. He used many defensive techniques one after another, and cyan light shields that were as heavy as cold iron overlapped and protected his body. At the same time, 7 or 8 Dharma treasures and spirit treasures exploded together, turning into restrictions and defenses to block. But everything was useless under Jiang Tian's sharp sword aura. The restrictions and defenses exploded like paper. Master Ashenpine screamed and spat out blood. He flew backward like a rag doll. His skin and flesh were torn and blood flowed out. Even if he's not a golden core cultivator, his strength is comparable to a golden core cultivator. He was terrified and crawled back to the Green Hill Palace, looking at Jiang Tian in disbelief. He had never thought that Jiang Tian was so powerful. Kong Teichu, it's not your turn to be presumptuous here. Suddenly, the 4 elders of the Heavenly Star Palace and the 8 new elites, a total of 12 people, jumped out and stabbed their swords at Jiang Tian. They were all peak stage foundation establishment cultivators, and had even formed a fake core. They were from the same sect and often cultivated together. At this time, their jumping and stabbing movements were in sync. The sword chi gathered together, and was as powerful as a golden core cultivator's attack. Open, open, open. Jiang Tian didn't stop. He took the 4th step and patted the sky-devouring demonic gourd. 9 flying swords whizzed through the air. The flying swords whizzed through the air like rainbows, sweeping, slashing, stabbing, and slashing wildly. It was dazzling. Clap, clap, clap. The sword chi of the 12 elites of the Heavenly Star Palace exploded in an instant. They didn't have a chance to gather at all. Poof, poof, poof. 5 geniuses and 3 elders were decapitated on the spot. They did not even have time to scream before their heads flew high into the air. Although the other 4 could still survive, they were still severely injured and covered in blood. They retreated toward the Green Hill Palace in horror. But the 9 flying swords swept out on their own, and launched a second attack. The 4 elites didn't even run a few steps before their bodies exploded, turning into a crystal blood mist in the air. Jiang Tian had taken the 5th step. The 9 flying swords circled in the air and drew an elegant arc, attacking the hundreds of exalted immortals who had yet to escape. No! Grand Primordium Celestial Master, we're willing to surrender. Grand Primordium Celestial Master, we're willing to fight side by side with you. Some of these exalted immortals were from the Heavenly Star Palace, and some were from other small and medium-sized sections. But all of them were late-stage foundation establishment cultivators, and there was no lack of city lords and sect masters among them. But at this time, their guts were broken and their souls were about to leave their bodies. Jiang Tian had severely injured Master Ashenpine with just 1 step and crushed the 4 elders and 8 elites of the Heavenly Star Palace. This kind of combat power was too shocking. He was completely at the golden core level. How would they dare to resist? I've already given you a chance. However, Jiang Tian was already enraged in his heart. How could he hold back? So go to hell. Jiang Tian let out a short shout, and the flying sword madly attacked. Chapter 954. Jiang Tian's 9 flying swords came from the ruins of immortality, and had been refined by Jiang Tian several times. They could be considered supreme-grade numinous treasures, and each of them was very powerful. The meteorite was made of meteoric iron, and was the heaviest. It rushed to the front and forcefully split a hall apart with a clang. Many of the grand formations and restrictions in the hall shone brightly, and then dimmed. Runes were broken, and bricks were sent flying. The rest of the flying swords swarmed over like streaks of green rainbows piercing through the sun. The spring thunder sword instantly shot out tens of thousands of lightning bolts, and the exalted immortals were electrocuted into ashes. Their bodies exploded, and they died. The other flying swords were not willing to be left behind. They brought along rainbow-like sword lights and danced wildly in the air. Sword chi was eerie, like the scythe of the Grim Reaper. Every sword slash brought about more than 10 waves of blood that soared into the sky, representing the death of more than 10 exalted immortals. The Imperial Wind Sword was the fastest. It rushed like a meteor toward the fleeing exalted immortals, killing one with each slash. Blood and flesh flew everywhere, and screams echoed in the sky. In an instant, hundreds of exalted immortals were defeated. The miserable cries and screams shook the heavens and earth as experts fell like rain. No Dharma treasure, divine ability, true essence, or mountain protection formation could escape the sharpness of Jiang Tian's flying swords. In the blink of an eye, Jiang Tian had killed 300 exalted immortals. Every time he slashed out, blood flowed like a river, and corpses were everywhere. Even the cold-hearted Lady Desireless turned pale, and cold sweat covered her back. At this moment she was in a daze, and her tall body was trembling. She couldn't help but think of Jiang Tian's words in front of Jadewell Peak. You should be grateful that I ran away today. At first, she thought that Jiang Tian was just being stubborn and bluffing. Now, she realized that Jiang Tian was not exaggerating at all. It could be said that Jiang Tian's current combat strength could completely crush a fake core cultivator. If she went up, she wouldn't be able to last more than 3 rounds. Could this be his true strength? Is this his trump card? Fairy Miaoyi stood on her flying sword and watched from a few miles away with Ding Lingdang. She was dumbstruck. Big brother Jiang is too awesome. He could definitely compete with Li Longyuan. My father can be saved. After Ding Lingdang recovered from her shock, her face was filled with excitement as she cheered. Still not coming out to die? Bald thief Li Longyuan. Jiang Tian patted the sky-devouring demonic gourd again. Whoosh! Whoosh! Another 9,000 flying swords shot out. The flying swords were densely packed and blotted out the sky as they charged towards the Green Hill Palace. Each of these flying swords swallowed and spat out sharp sword energy, vast true essence. The sword radiance was like a monstrous wave, like a mountain toppling over, like a tsunami. Nothing could stop it. If the attack landed on the main hall of Qingqiu, judging from the momentum alone, the hall would definitely collapse. Not many people would survive. Humph! At that moment, a cold snort came from the main hall of Qingqiu. Suddenly, Jiang Tian's flying sword seemed to have encountered an invisible barrier. They hovered in the air, and could not advance at all. Then, the barrier shook and the flying swords flew back towards Jiang Tian. Haha, Li Longyuan, are you finally coming out? Jiang Tian laughed and waved his hand. The flying swords were like swimming fish, entering the sky-devouring demonic gourd in the blink of an eye. Li Longyuan is coming out. In that instant, the many people that were killed by Jiang Tian to the point of crying for their parents all revealed expressions of wild joy. That cold snort alone could block Jiang Tian's flying swords. Li Longyuan was indeed Li Longyuan. At that moment, a figure rose into the sky from the main hall of Qingqiu. How impressive! Li Longyuan's robes fluttered as he walked with his hands behind his back. He looked down at Jiang Tian and snorted. I thought that I wouldn't have to do it myself today. It would be good for my disciples to gain some experience. Originally, he had plundered the stellar sky domain and made it hard for the people to make a living. The middle and lower class cultivators and commoners complained. This time, he let the 9 prodigies, the feather uniform guards, and the various sect masters take action to show the results of his years of tyranny to the stellar sky domain. Look, I've nurtured so many elites. Any one of them can kill the number 1 person in the Earth domain. In the future, the stellar sky domain will have a bright future. It's just a matter of time before we become a 3rd-grade hidden sect. Who would have thought that Jiang Tian would keep breaking new records? Annihilating the feather uniform guards, killing Zhou Yunkai, suppressing the 8 prodigies, suppressing 2 fake elixir core sect masters, and killing 300 exalted immortals with 1 sword. He was invincible. Anyone who stood in his way died. How terrifying. The stellar sky domain had suffered heavy losses. If this carried on, who knew how many more people Jiang Tian would kill? At that moment, Li Longyuan had no choice but to come out. From the looks of it, it was difficult for the others to be Jiang Tian's match. Li Longyuan looked at Jiang Tian carefully. He actually looked surprised. I didn't expect you to be so powerful at such a young age. You're qualified for me to take action. You're indeed talented. You're indeed the number 1 person in the Earth domain. You can still have such a cultivation level in a place without spirit energy. If you wait 100 years, I might not be your match. Suddenly he looked at Jiang Tian with disdain and sighed. What a pity. You're too eager. You're only at the fake core realm now, and you want to challenge me. Today, I'll turn you into ashes. You talk too much. Jiang Tian's eyes were cold. He was about to attack. Shin Tij also stepped out from the main hall and flew behind Li Longyuan. He sneered. Kong Teichu, you're just an ant from the wasteland Earth domain. You've learned some unorthodox skills by chance, but you want to challenge the heavenly star small world. You're really overconfident. He held a sky piercer in his hand and pointed at Jiang Tian. He mocked. Haha, you think the number 1 person in the Earth domain is so great? Actually, it's just a wasteland. An ant will always be an ant, and a barbarian will always be a barbarian. You're just a slightly bigger ant. You're walking right into a trap. Yi Tianren stepped out from the crowd and shouted. You're also from the ancient Earth domain. Earth is your ancestral land and hometown. What right do you have to mock and despise us? He had always hated the so-called hidden sect world, and those high and mighty immortals. At that moment he felt better. The relationship between Earth and the hidden sect world was very simple. For example, it was like a worker leaving his hometown with all the resources and financial support from his family to develop a little in the city. Now that the worker was rich and prosperous, he despised his hometown for being poor and backward. He even restricted the development of his hometown and wanted to annex his hometown to make it his own private property. I'm an ant? Haha, today, I'm going to tear you to pieces. Jiang Tian shouted. Kong Teichu, the battle just now was just a test for you. It's just an appetizer. Today's battle has just begun. Shin Tij's armor was bright and his red battle robe fluttered. He was like a peerless general. At that moment, his face was full of anger. He stepped into the air and smashed the sky piercer in his hand toward Jiang Tian. The sky piercer was like a horned dragon. Its long shaft was densely covered with dragon scales. The small branches on the sky piercer were like dragon claws and sharp like a dragon's head. The moment the sky piercer smashed down, an azure dragon rushed into the sky. It was hundreds of meters long. It stretched out its huge claws and grabbed toward Jiang Tian. Die. Shin Tij's roar was like rolling thunder. His dantian shone with endless green light, spreading a huge halo hundreds of meters around him. It made him look like a god. What? Shin Tij actually broke through to the golden core realm. Master Ashenpine stared at his dantian. His expression changed drastically as he exclaimed. Shin Tij was once Li Longyuan's personal disciple. 100 years ago, he was Li Longyuan's right-hand man. He helped Li Longyuan conquer various major sects and shocked the entire stellar sky domain. He achieved immortal achievements and made great contributions. However, he had been stuck at the pseudo-core realm. Although he went into seclusion many times, he didn't improve for hundreds of years. He didn't expect to break through to the Golden Core realm recently. Yes, you didn't expect it, right? I went into seclusion for 20 years and finally stepped into the first stage of the Golden Core realm. Shintige had been hiding his cultivation all this time. Now he finally revealed it. At this time, he was simply full of ambition and pride. He roared proudly, "Kong Teichu, today I will kill you, the #1 person on earth, to establish the cornerstone of my supreme immortal path." Shintige broke through to the Golden Core realm. Miyu was shocked. Shintige's combat power had already surpassed his. He sighed and said, "This Sky Piercer was refined by a Golden Core realm expert of the Stellar Sky Palace, using a true dragon's soul and grand unity gold. For hundreds of years, it was fed and nourished by countless souls that died tragically. It took 100 years to refine this immortal artifact." Master Ashen Pine also couldn't believe it. Previously, Shintige couldn't activate this immortal artifact when he was at the Pseudo-Core realm. Now he finally burst out with all his combat power. Golden Core. The Stellar Sky Palace actually released a second Golden Core. The tens of thousands of people present were shocked and looked at Shintige with admiration and envy. Shintige actually broke through to the Golden Core realm. But Xiaoying Luo, Ding Lingdang, and Fairy Miao Yi were deeply nervous. The strongest opponent Jiang Tian had faced before was Master Ashen Pine. But Master Ashen Pine was only at the Pseudo-Core realm. It was just that the structure of the Golden Core was not solid enough, and was between the Foundation Establishment realm and the Golden Core realm. As for Golden Core realm experts, their true essence was compressed to the extreme and formed into a solid Golden Core. Their true essence was 10 times more vast, their physical body was 10 times more tyrannical, and their combat power was 10 times more powerful. This was equivalent to 10 Master Ashen Pines, 10 Sect Masters or City Lords, attacking Jiang Tian together. What's more, he also had an immortal artifact refined by a Golden Core realm expert. Shintige, you didn't waste my hundreds of years of hard teaching. You didn't waste my hard work in collecting cultivation resources. Even Li Longyuan showed some approval. The Azure Mystic Sect Daoist was his son, so he naturally doted on him the most. But Shintige was his proudest disciple. He had already received 80% of his true teachings. Coupled with the suppression of the immortal artifact, Kong Teichu will definitely die. Li Longyuan's face was full of mockery as he made the final decision. He was too lazy to watch anymore. With a contemptuous look, he flicked his sleeves and turned to walk into the Green Hill Palace. Chapter 955. At this moment, although the strength that Jiang Tian displayed was very strong, his cultivation was definitely not at the Golden Core level. That was because the Dantian of a Golden Core cultivator was not like that at all. When a Golden Core cultivator entered the False Core stage and began to condense a Golden Core, they would start polishing their Essence Core. Once it was condensed to the extreme, it would trigger lightning tribulations and even many other tribulations. After continuous tempering and going through countless difficulties and dangers, they would finally compress their true core into a solid state and condense a Golden Core. The Dantian of a Golden Core cultivator was as vast as the ocean, as heavy as a mountain, and as solid as a divine metal. Therefore, Jiang Tian could only be a False Core cultivator. A False Core cultivator facing a Golden Core cultivator was like a 3-year-old baby facing a prehistoric giant, completely vulnerable. Moreover, he had an immortal item. At this moment, not many people thought that Jiang Tian would be a match for Shintige. Immortal item? Not good enough. In the field, Jiang Tian sneered. Of course, the heavenly halberd was good, but it was only a superior grade spiritual treasure. It was still far from being a real immortal item. One had to know that a real immortal item was usually refined with the blood of a cultivator who had gone through a tribulation. How could a Dharma treasure refined by a Golden Core cultivator be considered an immortal item? It could only be said that the people of the Heavenly Star Small World were too short-sighted. It's enough to kill you. Shintige's eyes were as deep as the stars, and his black hair flew like a waterfall. His battle intent surged like a tide as he stepped forward, the heavenly halberd aimed at Jiang Tian's chest. The true dragon's shadow on the heavenly halberd was very condensed, as if it was real. As it bared its fangs and brandished its claws, lightning flashed. These lightning bolts were formed by vengeful spirits, mixed with true core and energy. A single lightning bolt could kill a late-stage Foundation establishment cultivator. Shinti's speed was extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, he crossed hundreds of meters and arrived in front of Jiang Tian. He wanted to pierce Jiang Tian's chest with his heavenly halberd, destroy his physical body, and refine his soul. Get lost. You are not qualified to fight with me. Jiang Tian's eyes were full of contempt and coldness. When the heavenly halberd was close to him, he flicked his finger. This kid is too arrogant. That's right. This is an immortal item, and it's even activated by a gold core expert. Even a gold core expert wouldn't dare to fight it head-on. Many people present exclaimed in surprise and shook their heads secretly. There was disdain on their faces, thinking that Jiang Tian was too arrogant. But in the next moment, everyone's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. Their expressions turned into complete shock and disbelief. Jiang Tian flicked his finger, and a vast amount of true essence shot out like a massive pillar, piercing through the skies. Bang! Bam! The true dragon's shadow was shattered, and the sky piercer exploded in the air as if it was made of tofu. The remaining power of the golden finger beam did not diminish. Like a high-speed train, it slammed heavily into Shinti's chest. How is this possible? Shinti cried out in alarm. His face was filled with horror. He continuously stepped on the air and retreated like a shooting star. Block! Block! As he roared, he activated many protective divine powers and Dharma treasures, trying to block Jiang Tian's finger beam. However, Jiang Tian's finger beam was no longer what it used to be. It was extremely powerful, as heavy as a mountain, and its speed far exceeded the speed of sound. Bang bang bang. Muffled sounds exploded like thunder. Earth-shattering explosions set off billowing airwaves that spread in all directions. Under Jiang Tian's finger beam, Shinti's many protective Dharma treasures and divine powers were shattered one after another like paper. Shinti's face was filled with pain. His body shook violently, and he was about to die in the next second. At that critical moment, a strangely shaped Dharma treasure appeared and blocked Jiang Tian's finger beam. Even so, Shinti was still sent flying a few hundred meters away, crashing into a few giant pillars of the Green Hill Palace, and rolling into the palace. The entire place was dead silent. The vast Green Hill Mountain, which had a radius of more than 10 miles, was so silent that even the sound of a pin dropping could be heard. The tens of thousands of people present were dumbfounded. Nobody could say a word. Everyone looked at Jiang Tian, who was standing in the air in confusion, shock, fear and disbelief, as if they were looking at a fiend god. He defeated a golden core cultivator with one finger. And he's a golden core cultivator with a supreme deity artifact. Kong Teichu must have surpassed the golden core cultivator level. Only after a full 5 seconds did everyone come back to their senses. They began to whisper to each other and discuss animatedly. Everyone's evaluation of Jiang Tian was crazily refreshed again. They were so shocked that they were almost numb. The spirit chi on earth has dried up and the inheritances have been cut off. Since when did such a terrifying being appear? Besides, he's not even 30 years old yet. What level will he be at in another 10 or 100 years? Is Miayu blind? When did he reach the second level of the Foundation establishment level? Everyone's hearts were in turmoil and their bodies shook violently. Everyone was in disbelief and disbelief, as if they had seen a ghost. They kept complaining about Miayu. I've really misjudged him. His chi concealment technique is too amazing. Miayu finally understood and his face was red with embarrassment. Defeating a golden core cultivator with one finger. That was clearly the strength of a cultivator above the golden core cultivator level. And it was already a level that the energy explosion pill could not push to. Previously, Jiang Tian's performance at the second level of the Foundation establishment level could only be one reason. That was Jiang Tian's chi concealment technique was amazing, or his true essence was unbelievably dense. At this time, everyone realized that whether Jiang Tian was a golden core cultivator or not, he had the strength to kill a golden core cultivator. That was too terrifying. Countless people were so scared that their souls were leaving their bodies and they were trembling. Bastard! I'm going to cut you into pieces. Shen Ti's heart protection mirror was broken. His body was covered in blood. His hair was disheveled and his handsome face was covered in soot. He rushed out of the Green Hill Palace again, gritting his teeth and glaring at Jiang Tian with hatred. He could not stand such a defeat. He had finally broken through to the Golden Core Cultivator level, and he wanted to kill Jiang Tian and make a name for himself. However, Jiang Tian broke his immortal artifact and sent him flying a few hundred meters away like a dead dog. He had become a complete joke. Shen Ti, step back. Today, I will personally kill this bastard. Li Longyuan kept his immortal artifact. It was a star tree that was shining brightly. There were 7 branches on it, and at the top of each branch was a ball that looked like a star. It was arranged according to the order of the Big Dipper, and emitted thousands of rays of light. It had an aura that could command the galaxy. The Big Dipper tree was used by the Saint Sex Master in the past. It was the immortal artifact that suppressed the Golden Core exalted immortals and intimidated the Stellar Sky domain. I didn't expect Li Longyuan to use such an immortal artifact just to kill this ant from Earth. Master Ashenpine's face revealed a touch of shock. His eyes were burning with greed and envy as he swallowed a few mouthfuls of saliva. Then he regained his sense of superiority and looked at Jiang Tian proudly. Kong Techu, Palace Master Li is going to personally attack you with such a powerful immortal artifact. This time you are dead. It is no exaggeration to say that killing you is like killing a chicken. Seeing that Li Longyuan was going to attack, Seng Hongyuan, Shen Ti, Chu Yonghui and the others all heaved a long sigh of relief. Master, please help us suppress this evil. Master is a man of great talent and vision. He will unite the Heavenly Star Realm and kill Kong Techu like killing a chicken. A cultivator from Earth is like an insect. He can't even survive 1 or 2 moves in front of the Palace Master. Many disciples of the Starry Sky Palace were shocked. Then they bowed deeply to Li Longyuan, flattering him like a tide, and flattery flew everywhere. Master has finally made a move. Master is our great savior. Some were even so excited that tears streamed down their faces and wailed loudly. The Heavenly Star Small World had formed a structure similar to a political regime, and the Heavenly Star Palace was like a court. Li Longyuan was mean and ungrateful. If one wanted to do well in the Heavenly Star Palace, flattery was the basic skill. But at the same time, Li Longyuan was indeed an amazing person. He was the first powerhouse to break through to the Golden Core realm after the collapse of many formations and the imbalance of spirit chi. He was also very good at personal worship, so these disciples respected him as if he was a god. Kong Techu, even if you are a Golden Core realm cultivator, I'm afraid you are only at the 1st or 2nd level. How can you be a match for Palace Master Li? Seng Hongyuan was originally so scared by Jiang Tian that he did not dare to show his face, but at this moment, he regained his arrogance. Kong Techu, Senior Li has made a move. Today you are dead, haha. At the edge of the square, Chu Yonghui also laughed gloatingly. Jiang Tian's combat power was indeed amazing. If Li Longyuan cherished his reputation and did not make a move, everyone would be in big trouble today. That was because everyone could tell that Jiang Tian was truly enraged. He was about to unleash a massacre. It was simply a bloody massacre. But so what? Once Li Longyuan made a move, everything would change. After all, he was a 3rd-stage Golden Core realm powerhouse. Chu Yonghui gritted his teeth and snorted coldly. Do you really think there is no one in the Heavenly Star domain? Do you really think that you, an ant from the Earth domain, can do whatever you want here? Chu Yonghui looked up to the sky and laughed. Deep in his eyes, there was a madness of revenge. Not only him, but everyone present was relieved and restored their previous disdain and contempt for Jiang Tian. Indeed, Kong Techu was very strong, especially since he could rise in this wasteland where spirit chi was scarce, cultivate to the Golden Core realm, and refine the demonic aura in his body. He could be called a genius that was hard to come by in 1,000 years. However, the difference in cultivation level was huge. It was not something that could be made up with talent. After all, Li Longyuan had cultivated for hundreds of years, and had already stepped into the 3rd-stage Golden Core realm. Even if Jiang Tian was at the perfected second stage golden core realm, he was no match for him. Noisy. Jiang Tian flicked his finger. With a snap, a finger light pierced through. Chu Yonghui's head exploded, and red and white matter scattered. The headless corpse fell to the ground. You really think I can't kill you? It's just that I had forgotten about you, but your roar reminded me. Jiang Tian chuckled leisurely. Originally, he did not kill the Chu father and daughter because he wanted to subdue the great demon, Bai Zhe. Now that he had achieved his goal, why keep them alive? Ah. Father. You died so miserably. Chu Yunxia was stunned. Then she hugged her father's headless corpse and burst into tears. However, she did not dare to insult Jiang Tian. Because Jiang Tian was just like Jiang Tian said. It was not that Jiang Tian could not kill them. It was just that they were too weak, and Jiang Tian was too lazy to pay attention to them. Is it very uncomfortable? Then I will set you free. You can die too. Jiang Tian flicked his finger, and another finger light shot toward Chu Yunxiu. Chapter 956. Kong Teichu, do you think I don't exist? Li Longyuan yelled. He pointed the star tree in his hand, and a dazzling starlight burst out, deflecting Jiang Tian's finger light. Boom. The golden finger light hit the ground and exploded. The life and death field shook violently, creating a huge pit with a radius of 100 meters. Jie. Chu Yunxia was so scared that she couldn't even cry. She covered her mouth and didn't dare to speak. Jie. At this time she was sweating profusely. Her teeth were chattering like a machine gun, and her whole body was trembling. If that finger beam had landed on his body, he would have been reduced to ashes. Kong Teichu, I'm here. I won't allow you to kill people. Li Longyuan shouted with a cold look in his eyes. The stellar sky domain was his world. He was like an emperor. The people here were his subjects. He could kill them, but he would never allow Jiang Tian to do so. Tisk, you're just a tyrant, a lone wolf. Why are you pretending to be a wise saint? Bah. Jiang Tian smiled disdainfully. Then he glanced at the crowd and mocked. It's too early for you to be happy. Do you really think I'm not Li Longyuan's opponent? Too early for you to be happy. Li Longyuan was furious. He sneered. Kong Teichu, you're indeed a talented person. You're the most talented person in the Earth domain in the past 1,000 years. If you wait another 10 years, you might be able to surpass me, Li Longyuan. He looked at Jiang Tian with disdain. I've said it before. You shouldn't have provoked the heavenly star small world when your cultivation was still low. That's the same as offending us cultivators. Now I'll kill you like killing a chicken. Today, I'll cut you into pieces and refine your soul for 100 years. I'll tell the Earth domain the consequences of looking down on the stellar sky domain. I'll also avenge my beloved son who died tragically. As soon as he finished speaking, his killing intent soared to the heavens. The Big Dipper tree in his hand was like a divine tree that opened up Hongmeng and supported the myriad of worlds, and it emitted a myriad of clear radiances. Immediately, the vast starry sky became filled with resplendent stars. The mysterious phenomenon of the Big Dipper appeared behind him. The ripple-like starlight seemed bright and peaceful, but it contained endless murderous intent as it rushed towards Jiang Tian. Anomalies were existences that far surpassed sword moves, sword intent, and sword gleams. Some were strange beasts, some were divine objects, some were mountains, rivers, lakes, and seas, some were stars, but they were extremely difficult to cultivate. The might of the Big Dipper phenomenon was unfathomable. 300 years ago, Li Longyuan had once utilized this phenomenon to annihilate a myriad of cultivators and greater demons. He was invincible and suppressed the heavenly star small world, and no one could stand against him. This, the first move, is a fatal blow. When Mieyu saw this, his expression changed drastically in disbelief. Too ruthless. Ding Lai's face turned pale, and his heart skipped a beat. He clenched his fists and was sweating for Jiang Tian. The Big Dipper phenomenon was passed down from the sect master of the heavenly god. But many people thought that the sect master of the heavenly god might not be the real creator, but an ancient grand cultivator. This cultivation art was definitely worthy of its reputation. It was said that when this cultivation art was cultivated to the extreme, it could tear apart the sky and earth, destroy mountains and even destroy giant cities. In the past few hundred years, countless greater demons and sect masters were no match for it. They were easily killed, destroyed, or even ground to dust. Ding Lai once saw with his own eyes that Li Longyuan used only a ray of starlight to kill a traitorous fake core overlord. Brother Jiang, be careful. Ding Lingdang also turned pale and shouted from afar, but she was too far away and Jiang Tian might not be able to hear her. Clang, clang, clang. The Big Dipper rotated like planets. It was very real and one could even see the mountains and hills on it. They were as bright as jade and had a gentle glow. Streaks of starlight that were like feathers, steel needles, or shattered crystals were sparkling and translucent. Faint clanging sounds could be heard. Wherever the starlight went, the air twisted and shook as if it were about to be destroyed. Terrifying cracks appeared on the hard ground of the life and death square. They were 1/2 meter wide. The cracks were like spider webs and immediately covered the entire square. Even the huge square bamboo peak shook violently as if it couldn't withstand the pressure. Retreat. Even though they weren't directly under the pressure of the starlight, they were only affected. Shintij, Master Ashenpine and Mieyu and the other sect masters and city lords felt that their bodies were about to be torn apart. Their divine powers were suppressed and their divine wills were almost destroyed. They felt extremely uncomfortable and quickly retreated to the Green Hill Palace. The starlight shone a few hundred meters in the sky, and its terrifying power had already spread to the other mountains. Some Foundation establishment overlords were pierced by a ray of starlight, and their bodies immediately exploded, turning into a rain of flesh. In the blink of an eye, the starlight was about to reach Jiang Tian's head and pierce through him. Haha, you're just a golden core cultivator, and you want to create a phenomenon like a nascent soul overlord? How dare you? It was also at this moment that a wisp of a disdainful smile appeared on the corners of Jiang Tian's mouth, as he brazenly attacked. Boom! There was a deafening sound that traveled 10 kilometers. Jiang Tian's true essence exploded, and the Xian Water Azure Dragon appeared. Immediately, a 1-kilometer-long Azure Dragon appeared behind Jiang Tian. Azure Dragon's domineering figure was surrounded by streams of black mystical water. Dazzling lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. That area turned into a sea of mystical water and lightning intertwined. Suddenly, a powerful energy spread in all directions. Dust billowed and the earth shook. Everyone couldn't withstand it, and they were terrified. What's that? An azure dragon? Is it also a kind of phenomenon? Or is it formed by true essence? Everyone felt suffocated. Even the false core overlords couldn't withstand the terrifying energy. Their bones creaked and their organs felt like they were about to be crushed. Roar! Faster than words could describe, the gigantic azure dragon's scales were thick and dense. Fierce light shot out from his huge eyes. He bared his fangs and brandished his claws. He opened his bloody mouth and roared, abruptly inhaling the starlight. Crack, crack! Under the suction of the azure dragon, whether it was the watery starlight, the sharp starlight, or even the 7 planets, they could not withstand a single blow and were instantly shattered. The azure dragon swallowed all the starlight and planets like a whale swallowing a cow. Ow! How is this possible? Li Longyuan's expression changed drastically, and he was dumbstruck. His body staggered, and he almost fell from the sky. He used his most powerful attack right from the start. He thought he could instantly kill Jiang Tian, but he didn't expect Jiang Tian to transform into the azure dragon mystic water body and swallow the phenomenon, which took him by surprise. The entire place was dead silent. Everyone was dumbfounded and couldn't believe what they were hearing. This azure dragon was simply too terrifying. It could destroy the starlight and swallow the Big Dipper phenomenon. Die. Jiang Tian cast a spell and cast his Abhijna. The green dragon mystic water divine body immediately attacked violently, unleashing endless power. Boom. The black water azure dragon's 10-meter-long giant claw covered the sky as it slammed down heavily at Li Longyuan, accompanied by crackling lightning and black water. You can't kill me, Li Longyuan shouted. The Big Dipper tree in his hand let out waves of starlight and rose into the sky with endless power. It seemed to be able to lift up the sky. Clang! The scaly azure dragon's claw hit the Big Dipper tree, and a destructive power was instantly unleashed. The vast black water and lightning forcefully shattered and annihilated the space within a radius of several hundred meters, forming a vacuum. Violent air currents poured in from all directions. Sung Hongyuan, Shin Tej, Mieyu and Master Ashenpine immediately flew in as if they were attracted by a black hole. They used many divine powers and secret arts, but they were only able to stabilize themselves after flying for more than 10 meters. However, some of the cultivators with lower cultivation bases were not so lucky. After being sucked into that space, they were crushed and torn to pieces. Crack. The Big Dipper tree floated in the air and shook violently. After 3 breaths, it suddenly let out a crisp sound and many terrifying cracks appeared. Then it collapsed. There was a loud rumble. The Azure Dragon's giant claw slammed down, shattering Li Longyuan's protective astral wind. Li Longyuan fell from a height of hundreds of meters and heavily smashed into the ground, creating a huge crater with a radius of 10 meters. His body, which was said to be immortal for 1,000 years, was torn and bleeding. In the pit, his robe was torn and his hair was messy. He kept coughing up blood and moaning. He was suppressed by the Azure Dragon's mystic water and lightning. He couldn't even move his fingers, let alone resist. What? Li Longyuan lost. Mieyu, Master Ashenpine, Shin Tej, Sung Hongyuan and the other sect and city lords were all dumbfounded. They couldn't believe it. Li Longyuan couldn't even withstand one attack from a real deity artifact? What is Kong Teichu's level? Everyone was dumbfounded. A chill rose from the bottom of their hearts and went up their spines to the top of their heads. They felt as if they had fallen into an ice cellar. No matter what level he is at, his combat power is at least at the mid-stage of the Golden Core level. Mieyu's eyes almost popped out. His scalp was numb and his head was buzzing. It was about to explode. Today, her impression of Jiang Tian was refreshed by the cruel reality again and again. From a cripple who had lost all his cultivation to the fake core level, then to the Golden Core level, then to the mid-stage of the Golden Core level, he had advanced like a hurricane. It was as if there was no end to it. Now, she even had the feeling of looking up at a tall mountain and looking down at a bottomless abyss that was unfathomable and unable to see through Jiang Tian. Chu Yinxia was also dumbfounded. Her beautiful eyes almost popped out. Her pretty face was full of disbelief. She only felt that Jiang Tian was like an ancient giant god, who could tear the sky apart with one hand and smash the stellar sky continent into pieces with one punch. Li Longyuan, didn't you say that you could kill me like killing a chicken? Aren't you very strong? Come. Get up and fight with me. Jiang Tian put the Azure Dragon Mystic Water Divine Body back into his energy center and looked down at Li Longyuan with disdain. Chapter 957. Li Longyuan was corroded by the black water and lightning. His Dantian meridians and bones were all damaged. At this moment, his entire body was covered in blood, and he was gasping for breath. He could only inhale and not exhale. Only his eyes were still filled with resentment. Master Ashenpine, didn't you want him to kill me? Come and kill me. Jiang Tian looked at Master Ashenpine and sneered. Master Ashenpine was so scared that his whole body trembled. He was like a little white rabbit meeting a fierce tiger. Now he wanted Li Longyuan to kill Jiang Tian? What kind of joke was this? Li Longyuan couldn't even protect himself. Master Ashenpine didn't know whether to kneel and admit defeat to Jiang Tian, or fight to the death with Jiang Tian. Slap. Suddenly, Jiang Tian raised his hand and slapped Master Ashenpine's face. Master Ashenpine was sent flying dozens of meters away, and fell heavily on the ground. He lay there like a dead dog and couldn't get up. So what if I killed Taoist Graphite? So what if I destroyed your giant sword sect and killed your sect master? Jiang Tian raised his hand and a powerful suction force pulled Master Ashenpine over and grabbed his throat. Immortal Master Jiang, don't kill me. My giant sword sect is willing to submit. Master Ashenpine sensed Jiang Tian's cold killing intent and couldn't help but be scared out of his wits. He struggled futilely and screamed miserably, begging for mercy. Jiang Tian's eyes were full of contempt. Then his handsome face turned cold and he said coldly, "What were you doing earlier? It's too late. Crack. There was a crisp sound. Jiang Tian directly crushed his neck. Then purple lightning shot out from Jiang Tian's eyes. Master Ashenpine's head and dantian exploded. A violent aura burst out uncontrollably. Blood, broken bones, and ashes scattered all over Chu Yunxiu. The whole place was dead silent. It was extremely quiet. There were tens of thousands of cultivators on Qingqiu Mountain, but there wasn't even the slightest sound. At this moment, everyone was terrified, trembling, and sweating profusely. They were flabbergasted. Yet they couldn't say a single word. The giant sword sect leader, Master Ashenpine. He was at the grand completion pseudo-pill realm, but he was crushed to death by Jiang Tian with a raise of his hand. He did not even have the strength to resist. Demon God. A peerless demon. It was too terrifying. It was a complete massacre, without any mercy. Moreover, his strength was too strong. His cultivation was simply unfathomable. Hehe, Heavenly Star's immortal cultivators and sect masters, what's so great about them? Isn't it just a matter of raising a hand to kill him? Jiang Tian killed the sect leader as if he were killing a chick. He casually flicked the non-existent ashes on his fingers. Immortal Master Jiang, don't kill me. Jiang Tian didn't intend to kill anyone when he flicked his finger, but Seng Hongyuan was so scared that his legs went soft. Plop! He knelt on the ground. He thought that Jiang Tian was going to use his finger beam again. Jiang Tian couldn't be bothered with him. Instead, he walked to the side of the giant pit, raised his hand, and grabbed Li Longyuan over. Your Heavenly Star small world is not to be offended? Jiang Tian asked with a smile. Kang Teichu. Li Longyuan glared at Jiang Tian, his hatred overflowing to the heavens. His son, Li Qingxian, had died in the hands of Jiang Tian. However, not only did he not kill Jiang Tian to avenge his son, but he was also defeated, humiliated, and trampled on by Jiang Tian in an instant. This made him hate Jiang Tian to the core. Cheap mouth. Do you think you have the right to call my name? Slap. Jiang Tian slapped Li Longyuan's face. Blood spurted out from his nose, and he shook his head and tail. Jiang Tian smiled and said, Tell me Kang Teichu. So what if I killed your son and offended your Heavenly Star domain? Slap. Jiang Tian slapped Li Longyuan again. Li Longyuan's face was smashed, and his flesh and blood splattered everywhere. He asked, I Kang Teichu, am an ant in the wasteland? You are a high and mighty immortal cultivator? So what if I hit you now? Slap. I want to humiliate you and bully you. So what? Every time Jiang Tian asked a question, he would slap Li Longyuan. After asking 10 questions, he slapped Li Longyuan 10 times. Li Longyuan's head had turned into a bloody gourd. His cheekbones were broken, and he looked extremely miserable. Slap. Finally, Jiang Tian smashed Li Longyuan onto the ground like a rag. Then he stepped on Li Longyuan's face and looked around. He asked coldly, This is the number 1 person in Heavenly Star domain? He pointed at Li Longyuan, who was under his feet, and looked at the crowd. He mocked. This is what you are counting on? The entire place was dead silent. Everyone lowered their heads in fear. Their bodies were trembling, and they did not dare to make a sound. Li Longyuan, the number 1 person in Heavenly Star domain. Jiang Tian looked at Li Longyuan mockingly and said disdainfully, May I ask where your immortal techniques and mystical abilities are? Where is your vast divine senses? Where is your numinous treasure immortal artifact? Use it. Li Longyuan looked at Jiang Tian with hatred and did not say a word. You don't agree? Jiang Tian laughed. You have already used your strongest move, and you still can't kill me. Do you think you are my match? Kang Teichu. I am indeed not your match. Li Longyuan laughed sinisterly. However, do you think the foundation of Heavenly Star Small World is so simple? Do you think I am the only golden core cultivator? He laughed wildly and roared. You are wrong. You're wrong. You'd better let me go, or you'll regret it, Jiang Taichu. As soon as he said this, the entire place was dead silent. Many people were confused and shocked. Were there other golden core cultivators in Heavenly Star Small World? However, Jiang Tian was not surprised in the slightest. He threw Li Longyuan to the side and calmly looked towards the north, saying indifferently, "Old bastard, I have killed so many of your disciples and stepped on your descendants under my feet. You still won't come out? Do you want me to destroy your heavenly star palace before you come out?" In the depths of the ancestral land of the heavenly star palace, 100 kilometers away, the ancient Taoist temple with green bricks and green tiles suddenly bloomed with endless bright light. Thunder rumbled and starlight filled the air. Suddenly, there were thousands of auspicious lights. At this time, the ancient Taoist temple seemed to have come alive. Every blade of grass and every tree was full of vitality. Countless runes appeared on every brick and stone like a waterfall. Many golden runes surged like tides and gathered together to form a Tai Chi yin-yang fish. It seemed to be a door of time and space. "Ah, Kong Te-chu, I have been sleeping for hundreds of years and didn't want to come out. I didn't expect you to force me to come out." An old voice came from the door of time. It sounded ancient and distant, as if it had traveled through thousands of years. The voice was 100 miles away, but strangely, it exceeded the speed of sound and reached Fangzhou Peak in the blink of an eye. "It can't be him, right? Is he still alive?" When some of the older generation figures heard this voice, their expressions changed drastically. Is the legend true? They seemed to have thought of something and there was endless fear in their eyes, as if they had seen a ghost. Who is this? Is he also a golden core overlord? How can there be a golden core cultivator in our world? However, there were even more people who asked with puzzled expressions. In the stellar sky domain, many arrays were destroyed thousands of years ago, and the spirit chi was seriously out of control. The most abundant spirit chi was concentrated in the Red Thunder Mountain, but it was mixed with the demonic miasma aura and couldn't be absorbed. In other regions, the spirit chi was thin and was only 1/10 of what it was before. Therefore, only one golden core overlord, Li Longyuan, appeared here a few hundred years ago. The second golden core cultivator was Shen Tij. However, both of them were created with the resources of the entire small world. There was no other golden core cultivator. At this time, Li Longyuan stood up shakily, with a crazy smile on his face, and shouted loudly, "Brother Li! This is the Yuan, Li family's other golden core cultivator 1,000 years ago, the son of Yuan Tiangang, the sect master of our stellar sky palace, Yuan Zihua. Yuan Zihua, great demon Bai Zai's personal disciple. Didn't he already die? He's still alive." Lady Annihilation Desire suddenly realized who this person was, but her face was full of confusion and shock. "Condensing blood and stopping lifespan," Li Longyuan said proudly and coldly. "He has always been alive. He just condensed his blood and stopped his lifespan. Don't you understand why?" Li Longyuan looked around and smiled. "Because we need more than 10 golden core cultivators to coexist in the world, if we want to break through to the level 3 hidden cultivation sects. However, golden core cultivators can live up to 500 years old at most. They can't live for 1,000 years. Therefore, under the scheme of Great Demon Bai Zai, 3 golden core cultivators chose to condense their blood and go into hibernation hundreds of years ago. Our plan is to push out another 10 golden cores before this world collapses. At that time, there will be more than 10 golden cores coexisting, creating a glorious era and advancing to a level 3-dimensional small world. At that time we can occupy other dimensional worlds and obtain a new place to live. 3 golden core cultivators are in hibernation. Who else is there?" Lady Annihilation Desire and the others exclaimed together. Li Longyuan didn't answer. "Greetings, fellow Taoist." At this moment, from the direction of the demon-suppressing temple, another resounding voice rang out. "Kong Te-chu, you're talented and have a profound heritage. You might be able to reach the soul formation level in the future. Why do you want to be enemies with the heavenly star small world?" That area was filled with Buddhist light and golden light. It was 10,000 meters tall. The sound of Buddhist chanting filled the air, and countless auspicious clouds with golden edges gathered from all directions. Disciples of the demon-suppressing temple welcome Master Kuhai out of seclusion. Led by Master Annihilation Desire, many eminent monks of the demon-suppressing temple knelt down and prostrated themselves on the ground. "Master Kuhai, another disciple of great demon Baizhe, the ancestral patriarch of the demon-suppressing temple. Lady Annihilation Desire was shocked again. 500 years ago, great demon Baizhe turned into a young Taoist and fought with the demon-suppressing temple. Great demon Baizhe killed 3 abbots of Devil Suppression Monastery and hundreds of monks. Heads rolled and blood flowed like a river, almost annihilating Devil Suppression Monastery. But when he saw Master Kuhai's talent and power, he took him in as his disciple and taught him many cultivation arts of the Heavenly God sect. Master Kuhai came so quickly. A beam of golden light shot out from the demon-suppressing temple and flashed across the sky like a comet. In just a few seconds, it had traveled a few hundred kilometers and landed on the square. Master Kuhai was chubby and his ears drooped down to his shoulders. His body was huge, and there were circles of Buddha light shining behind his head. He gave off a feeling of being upright and upright. Why do you have to start a conflict between the two worlds? Master Kuhai put his hands together and smiled. Why don't we shake hands and make peace? Why don't you submit to the Heavenly Star Palace and control Earth on behalf of us? Submit to you? Jiang Tian flicked his sleeves and snickered. Who do you think you are? You want me, Kong Teichu, to submit to you? The Heavenly Star Small World will either submit to me or I'll destroy the entire Heavenly Star Small World. You don't have a third choice. After hearing that, the entire audience was shocked to the extreme. Everyone was flabbergasted and couldn't believe what they were seeing. Chapter 958. No one dared to believe it. Kong Teichu was too arrogant. They were veteran golden core cultivators who had been famous for hundreds of years. They were much older than Li Longyuan, Miayu, and the rest. Their strength and divine powers were unimaginably strong. But when facing them, Jiang Tian was still not the slightest bit weaker. Isn't it good to turn weapons of war into gifts of jade and silk for the people of the world? Besides, you are no match for us. He was already a mid-stage golden core cultivator. He was much stronger than Master Pudu, Master Shixiang, and even Li Longyuan. I am no match for you. You are too confident. Jiang Tianyi said calmly with a mocking smile. Isn't there another veteran golden core cultivator? Why doesn't he come out? This kid is so arrogant. Does he want to fight against 3 veteran golden core cultivators? They are very likely to be mid-stage golden core cultivators. Everyone was completely stunned by Jiang Tian. They looked at Jiang Tian as if he was crazy. The other golden core cultivator was once a disciple of great demon Baizhe. Could it be our ancestor, Taoist Master Kuan-Ling? A few giant sword sect elders suddenly thought of something. Their faces were filled with surprise and disbelief. Back then, great demon Baizhe had fought against the human sects and defeated thousands of sections. In the end, the demon race and the human race stood side by side. Moreover, great demon Baizhe had taken in many human disciples and established the Heavenly Star Palace, Giant Sword Sect, and Demon Subduing Temple. In other words, the inheritance of these 3 sects actually came from Baizhe and the Heavenly God sect. In the past thousands of years, most of these disciples had died in battle or died. But it was rumored that there were still 3 disciples who had survived and were hiding in this world. Yuan Zihua, Master Kuhai, and Taoist Master Kuan-Ling. Fellow Taoist Kuhai, I have already said that this kid is very murderous and full of demonic aura. We cannot persuade him. Indeed. A third old voice sounded from the direction of Giant Sword Sect. Another golden core cultivator had come out of seclusion. Taoist Master Kuan-Ling laughed in anger. His voice became colder and colder. For the past 1,000 years, no one has dared to challenge me, Kuan-Ling. Even if it was a level 3 hidden sect or the ruins of immortality. We didn't want to bicker with you because you've had a hard time cultivating. But since you've killed so many people, we old bones who are about to enter the coffin should come out and do some exercise. At this time, Li Longyuan looked coldly at Jiang Tian and said proudly, these ancestral patriarchs and experienced gold cores have all reached the middle stage of the gold core realm. They were prepared for the level 3 worldlet, or to resist the challenges of other worldlets. I didn't expect that they would be used on an ant from Earth in advance. As soon as he finished speaking, Priest Kuan-Ling had already crossed a distance of 100 kilometers and arrived at the life and death square. He was about 40 years old and wore a coarse green robe. On his back was a huge broadsword that was almost touching the ground like a small sampan. His figure was tall like a mountain. The lines of his face were strong and rough, and his beard was like a sword or halberd. His copper bell-sized eyes emitted a ferocious light, and his appearance was ferocious. Fellow Taoist Grand Primordium, your killing intent is too strong. It's a pity that such a grand event has turned into a slaughterhouse. Then Yuan Zihua also arrived. He was a few hundred years old, but he looked like he was only 30 years old. He was wearing a white robe and carrying a wind frost sword on his back. He looked like a deity lord. His long hair was like a waterfall and his eyes were like stars. His indifferent and cold eyes flowed like water and moonlight. His aura was extraordinary and aloof, cold and indifferent. Oh God, Ancestral Master Zihua is so handsome. He's so handsome. Kong Teichu is so ordinary and ugly. The moment he appeared, countless female cultivators felt as if they had lost their souls. Their hearts pounded violently, and their faces turned red. Even Miayu was mesmerized for a moment, but he immediately chanted a mind-cleansing spell to calm himself down. The ancestral master of the Heartless sect was also a talented woman who had fallen in love with Yuan Zihua. In the end, she was so angry that she broke off her relationship with Yuan Zihua and created the Heartless sect. Compared to Yuan Zihua, Jiang Tian was at a disadvantage in terms of looks. He looked so ferocious and ugly. In fact, Jiang Tian didn't change the appearance of his divine body after coming to this world. He only had an ordinary appearance, otherwise he wouldn't be inferior to Yuan Zihua. Besides, Jiang Tian didn't think that this kind of otherworldly beauty could be considered beautiful. When the three ancestral masters appeared in the square, everyone's expression changed. They were extremely excited. Disciple greets the ancestral masters. Disciple welcomes the ancestral masters out of seclusion. Kill the evil spirits. Miayu, Shen Tij, Sung Hongyuan, and Master Ashenpine all kowtowed with reverence. They were so excited that they shed tears and trembled. Even Ding Lai's body was trembling. He couldn't bear the pressure and knelt before the three ancestral masters. He couldn't be blamed. These ancestral masters were people who had been around for thousands of years. They were middle-stage golden core and had intimidated an era. They were highly respected and respected. Ding Lai didn't dare to provoke them in terms of strength, seniority, or influence. Even the cultivators of Li River Sword Sect, Snake Sect, and Wisdom Temple who were watching from afar knelt down. In an instant, tens of thousands of cultivators on Green Hill knelt down. Only Jiang Tian was left in the crowd. He was as still as a mountain, like a crane in a flock of chickens. You are Kong Teichu? Yuan Zihua looked at Jiang Tian coldly. His handsome face darkened slightly. He said coldly, "That's right. You have half of my elegance back then." His voice was slightly angry, and a terrifying aura swept over. Stay in your Earth world and be the #1 person. Isn't it good for our worlds to live in peace? Why did you come here to stir up a storm of blood? Ding Lai was sweating profusely, and his body was trembling. These three ancestral masters were too terrifying. Back then, Monster King Baizei's disciples all came from the Heavenly God Sect's master. They were the most profound and terrifying of all. I stirred up a storm of blood? Jiang Tian smiled faintly. He drew talismans in the air and cast a spell. Immediately, many phantoms appeared in front of everyone like holographic projections. It was the scene of the Qing Xian sect's Taoist and Qinzhong's plot. Jiang Tian had extracted it from Yendi's mind and manifested it. Back then, they plotted to invade Earth and even wanted to take over the Tianqing school's dojo, killing Jiang Tian, Yi Tianren and other overlords on Earth. At this moment, many people had awkward expressions on their faces. Qing Xian wanted to take over their dojo and even control the entire Earth world. What could they say when they came to kill them? Jiang Tian smiled and said, "What do you think of this small divine power of attentiveness manifestation? Please give it a try, Taoist Zihua." When he killed Qing Xian back then, he had already expected this scene. That was why he extracted the memories of a few people to be used as evidence during the argument. Yuan Zihua's face was cold and emotionless. At this time Ding Lai mustered up his courage and said, "Old immortal Yuan, can I say something fair?" "Go ahead." Yuan Zihua raised his eyebrows and looked at Ding Lai, who knew how many girls and fairies had fallen for him. Brother Jiang was indeed a bit reckless. He killed the Qingxian sect's Taoist, but there was a reason for it. Ding Lai bowed and said, "Especially after Jiang Taichu came to this world, Li Longyuan used his power to bully others. He took advantage of the fact that Jiang Taichu had lost his cultivation, and the devil qi had invaded his body. Isn't this too despicable? Besides, Li Longyuan has been going against the law all these years. He has plundered the world and made the people of this world miserable. The reason why Kong Taichu repeatedly attacked was because he was forced by Li Longyuan. Senior, you are a mid-stage golden core cultivator with 1,000 years of life. You are knowledgeable and respected. I believe you will deal with this fairly." Ding Lai actually still had a glimmer of hope for Yuan Zihua and the other two patriarchs. With their seniority, status, and cultivation, they would not be as despicable and unreasonable as Li Longyuan and the others. He hoped that the three patriarchs could uphold justice. Of course. Yuan Zihua smiled warmly. As an patriarch, I naturally have to convince people with my words and actions. Since there is a secret behind this matter, I will naturally deal with it impartially and convince Kong Taichu. Thank you, Senior. Ding Lai was overjoyed and kowtowed. Li Longyuan, your performance has disappointed me. The Earth domain is a barren wasteland with exhausted spirit qi. You actually want to seize it. Yuan Zihua glared at Li Longyuan and reprimanded him righteously. Brotherly, don't blame me. You actually want to take advantage of Kong Taichu's cultivation to lead thousands of sects to besiege him. Despicable. You are a disgrace to the stellar sky domain. Li Longyuan was so frightened that he knelt on the ground. The Yuan clan was the Li family's dragon protector lineage, but that was only on Earth. In this world, the Yuan clan was much, much stronger than the Li family. Yuan Zihua looked at Jiang Tian again, and revealed a kind expression. He said lightly, Kong Taichu, since the Stellar Sky Palace attacked you first, it is indeed our fault. How about this? Today, I will not kill you. Kneel down and kowtow to them, and this matter will be over. In the future, I will teach you supreme cultivation techniques, and you will be my servant. When you return to the Earth domain, you will control the Earth domain on our behalf. How about that? As soon as he said that, everyone laughed. Ding Lai was stunned as if he had been slapped a few times. It was the Stellar Sky Palace that attacked Earth first and snatched Jiang Tian's dojo. It was the Stellar Sky Palace's fault. And Jiang Tian still had to kowtow to Li Longyuan and the others. And he still wanted him to control the Earth domain on behalf of the Stellar Sky Palace? Wasn't this defeating Jiang Tian without using a single soldier, and realizing Li Longyuan's insidious plan? Ancestor, you! Ding Lai shouted in disbelief. What? Do you think I'm being unfair? Yuan Zihua glanced at Ding Lai coldly. Does everyone think I am fair? Yuan Zihua asked as he glanced at the crowd leisurely. Fair. Too fair. Voices rang out in unison as everyone looked at Jiang Tian with a mocking expression. The Earth domain is just a group of ants. Yuan Zihua laughed mockingly, and his voice suddenly became cold. He flicked his sleeves and looked down at Jiang Tian disdainfully. We just want to kill a few ants, and we haven't killed them yet. Do you want us to pay with our lives? Kong Taichu, remember, this is the truth of the cultivation world. The weak only have the fate of being bullied and enslaved. As the weak, accept your fate. Chapter 959. I finally understand. Ding Lai couldn't take it anymore. He jumped up, smiled bitterly, and roared. Why is Li Longyuan so despicable and shameless? It turns out that a crooked stick will have a crooked shadow. You people are really despicable, shameless, inhumane, and worse than beasts. Bullying the weak, flattering the strong and bullying the weak, flattering the strong and stepping on the weak. What kind of ability is this? What kind of hero is this? What kind of immortal is this? If you have the guts, go and destroy the immortal ruins. You don't dare, you only dare to bully the Earth domain, you are cowards. As a person of the Stellar Sky domain, I feel ashamed. I feel ashamed for you. What kind of bullshit immortal cultivators are you? You are worse than dogs. Ding Lai, how dare you be so disrespectful to the patriarch? Li Longyuan shouted angrily. Yuan Zihua. Suddenly Jiang Tian said coldly. Aunt? You are not qualified to call me an aunt. Jiang Tian said mockingly. You are too ignorant. You don't know my ability at all. Really, a summer insect can't talk about ice. A frog at the bottom of a well can't talk about the sea. Kong Teichu, you are too presumptuous. At this time, Sanskrit Temple's master Yuan Jing flew over. After paying his respects to the three patriarchs, he straightened his body and coldly looked down at Jiang Tian, mocking him. This is the patriarch of the heavens. Kong Teichu, 3 middle-stage gold core realm patriarchs are here. Are you still not going to admit defeat? Are you still going to resist? You still want to talk nonsense? I advise you to kneel down, surrender, kowtow, and admit your mistake. Otherwise, this old monk will settle the score with you for killing my disciple back then. Everyone despised him in their hearts. This old bald thief's reaction was so fast. When Jiang Tian had the upper hand just now, he was the first to run away from Fang Zhufeng. Now that the 3 patriarchs came out to crush him, he immediately came out to express his loyalty. Moreover, Kong Teichu killed your disciple during the invasion of the border city. I didn't see you jump out in such a long time. Master Shixiang also changed his previous fear and dejection, becoming extremely arrogant and despotic. He shouted loudly, Master Shixiang, Kong Teichu, how would you know the background of the stellar sky domain? The 3 patriarchs are all at the middle stage of the gold core realm. Do you think you can still make a comeback? Shen Tij wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and stepped forward. Kong Teichu, I've already warned you that there are many hidden dragons and crouching tigers in this event. Dealing with you, Kong Teichu, will be a piece of cake. Back then, you repeatedly humiliated me and insisted on fighting me to the end. How about now? His expression was full of mockery as he said coldly, a mere abandoned person like you dares to challenge my stellar sky domain. Kong Teichu, weren't you very arrogant just now? Were they going to slaughter all the heroes of the stellar sky domain? Do it. Sung Hongyuan also came back to life and shouted arrogantly. Kong Teichu, Senior Yuan Zihua has the intention to guide you. You better accept it. Otherwise, I'm afraid my serpent sect will also become your enemy. The serpent sect's sect master, Madame Shi, also flew over and tried to persuade Jiang Yi. Jiang Tian's gaze swept across the mountains without any emotion. He said loudly, it seems like you guys were not satisfied when you left Fangzhou Peak and the Life and Death Square. Your submission isn't sincere. Now I'll give you a chance to choose again. Whoever wants to become my enemy, Kong Teichu, step forward. Kong Teichu, you still dare to boast so shamelessly when 3 gold core realm patriarchs are suppressing you. So what if we become your enemy? The Quaking Dawn sect's sect master jumped out. Yes, as you wish. Many experts of the Li River Sword sect also flew to Fangzhou Peak. Then, they flew back to Fangzhou Peak one by one. Even those who were not qualified to climb Fangzhou Peak came up to show their loyalty. A total of 5,000 to 6,000 people surrounded Jiang Tian. These people were at least Foundation Establishment Realm cultivators. There was no lack of Foundation Establishment Realm or Fake Core Realm cultivators. In addition, there were 3 veteran Gold Core Realm cultivators. Their aura was so strong that it could crush a world. They actually used 3 veteran Gold Core Realm cultivators to deal with him. Too ruthless. In the distance, Fairy Miaoyi saw this scene and tears flowed down her cheeks. She was in so much pain that she wanted to die. Big brother Jiang. Run. Xiao Yingluo and Ding Lingdong's faces turned pale. They were sobbing in despair. Sigh, if we wait another 100 years, or even 20 years. What a pity. Jiang Haishan and his son were also pale. They shook their heads and sighed. They were in complete despair. 3 gold core realm patriarchs. They were the disciples of the great demon Baizhe, and the inheritance of the heavenly god sect's sect master. Who could resist them? Jiang Tian was indeed amazing, but the disparity in strength was too great. They had suffered a great loss this time. In the square, Li Longyuan was triumphant. He roared loudly, Kong Teichu, did you see that? This is the foundation of the heavenly star small world. How strong can you be, Kong Teichu? Golden Core Realm Level 1? Level 2. At most you'll be at Level 3. So what if you're a mid-stage Gold Core Realm cultivator? A single tree can't make a forest, and a single thread can't make a thread. You're still just one person. And we have an army of tens of thousands of cultivators, thousands of sects, and thousands of people. We have 3 Gold Core Realm patriarchs. We'll kill you like killing a chicken. At this moment he was very proud. Because he had designed Jiang Tian to be Master Pudu in order to win the support of the people. Now it was obvious that he had achieved his goal. Everyone showed determined and confident smiles, as if Jiang Tian was already a dead man. In the crowd, only Chu Yunxiu tugged at Sung Renwang's sleeve and asked softly, I just heard that the 3 patriarchs are all Demon King Baizai's disciples. Is that so? Yeah. What's wrong? Sung Renwang glanced at Chu Yunxiu with a smile and asked casually. He was still quite happy. That Zhou Kaiyan was too showy. He became cannon fodder. In the future, this Chu Yunxiu would probably still become his concubine. No, nothing. Chu Yunxiu's face turned bitter as she lowered her head. She couldn't say that she had once sided with Demon King Baizai and saw Baizai being subdued by Jiang Tian. This was because the Demon King Baizai had been plotted against and destroyed by these disciples. Siding with Baizai was a taboo. Although Baizai might break free from Kong Teichu's control, what if he doesn't succeed? Then wouldn't Baizai become Kong Teichu's hired thug? No, I have to leave this troublesome place as soon as possible. Her face was filled with fear, and she was about to take the opportunity to escape. But suddenly, a thunderous sound was heard, like a giant cannon that could explode the sky, violently pushing forward. Who said that my true immortal Jiang is alone? You want to compete in numbers? Fuck, do you think you can beat Demon King Baizai? That voice was like the Milky Way pouring down with thousands of waves. It was also like rolling thunder crashing down, as if the world was falling apart. The entire space above Fangzhou Peak within a 5-kilometer radius was annihilated. The sun and moon lost their light, and the world changed color. Bang bang bang. The sound wave materialized and crashed down like a wild dragon. Instantly, the mountains collapsed and the earth cracked. Trees were reduced to dust and rocks flew everywhere. Huge craters hundreds of meters wide appeared all over Qingqiu Mountain. Before Li Longyuan's expression could change, he spat out a mouthful of blood from the sound wave. His cultivation was not bad. The other cultivators who were hit by the sound wave turned into a rain of sparkling flesh. They died without even a cry. Who's there? He's so powerful. Everyone raised their heads in shock. Dark clouds covered the skies. Demonic aura surged and lightning flashed. Cold sword lights were like a Milky Way waterfall and sharp blade lights spanned 10 kilometers. They were all great demons who were flying in the air, or riding on flying swords, warships and treasure carriages. Countless Dharma treasures filled the skies and covered the sun. Ghosts and gods were moved, and the world lost its color. The one in the lead was Demon King Baizai. He rode over on a dragon qilin. He wore a feathered robe and a star crown. His brows were sharp and his eyes were bright. He was handsome and had the appearance of a young man. However, his eyes were deep and cold. Behind him were the 8 great leaders of the demon race, the 13 protectors, and the 360 halls. Some of them were half human and half beast, while others were half beast and half human. They were of all shapes and sizes and looked ferocious. However, every one of them had demonic aura and a mountainous aura. They were all at false core, and even golden core. Further back, the dense army of demonic beasts was like a tidal wave that stretched for dozens of miles. They were innumerable and covered the entire Qingqiu Mountain like an endless swarm of locusts. 10,000, 30,000, 50,000, 100,000? Clang! Demon King Baizai descended from the skies like a demon star crashing into the continent, creating a gigantic crater dozens of meters wide in the life and death square. Boom! Rumbling air billows spread out in all directions like rings of clouds, causing everyone to spit out blood and fall off their horses. Baizai knelt down on one knee towards Jiang Tian and cupped his fists, saying coldly, I Baizai, am here to protect true immortal Jiang. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Like meteorites breaking through the atmosphere, the great demons pulled out white air turbulence and smashed into the ground heavily, creating soaring flames from the friction. Clang, 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 rumble, boom, 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 boom. The ground trembled and dust flew everywhere in the massive life and death square, riddled with holes. Almost 300 top demon cultivators at False Core and Golden Core crashed to the ground like meteorites. The 8 great leaders of the demon race, the 13 protectors, and the 360 Hall Masters are here to protect true immortal Jiang under the orders of Demon King Baizé. They formed a semicircle and knelt down on one knee towards Jiang Tian with solemn expressions. They kowtowed respectfully and their roars surged into the skies like torrential waves, shocking everyone's hearts. The other demonic cultivators did not descend. Each of them displayed their own abilities as they hovered in every direction, encircling Fangzhufeng and Green Hill like an iron bastion. They also kowtowed together, and their voices surged like a torrent. The 100,000 demon soldiers and generals of Red Thunder Mountain are here to protect true immortal Jiang. Heaven and earth were silent. A gentle breeze blew past, gently sweeping up the fallen leaves and dust on the square. It didn't matter if it was legendary sect masters like Li Longyuan and Miayu, or the other city lords and sect masters. Even Master Kuhai, Yuan Zihua, and Dao Master Kuan Ling, the 3 veteran Golden Core overlords and ancestral patriarchs didn't dare to move at all. They were as silent as cicadas in winter, and did not even dare to breathe loudly. The tens of thousands of human cultivators were scared out of their wits at that moment. Their faces were pale, and they trembled. Their legs went weak and cold sweat poured out of them. In reality, there were people who tried to escape as well. However, they could not release their dermic powers and divine powers at all. At that moment, Baizé was merely kneeling before Jiang Tian. However, a demonic wind howled and demonic qi filled the skies. The might of a nascent soul expert surged over and formed an unparalleled seal. Everyone's dermic powers were locked tightly. They could not even make the slightest movements, let alone fight or escape. Chapter 960. So he is the monster king Baizé. Ding Lai, the monks of the demon-subduing temple, and Jiang Haishan in the distance were all dumbfounded. They had seen this young man in the Red Thunder Mountain. They thought he was an inconspicuous little monster, but they didn't expect him to be so powerful. It was said that he was either a nascent soul cultivator or a nascent soul cultivator. How could Brother Jiang subdue him? Ding Lai and Jiang Haishan were stunned. Brother Jiang hadn't even gone through his last seclusion at that time. How could he subdue Baizé if he couldn't even defeat Desireless? Ding Lai and the others couldn't figure it out. At this time, not only them, but everyone present was stunned and confused. All of them were shocked to the point of being dumbstruck, and they didn't dare believe their eyes as they looked at this ferocious and murderous person kneeling obediently before Jiang Tian, as if he was the most loyal servant that had met his master. This was the famous Demon King Baizé who had intimidated an entire era. How could he kneel in front of Kong Teichu, a human from Earth? Could it be that he had subdued Baizé? That was impossible. If Jiang Tian was a Golden Core cultivator, he couldn't defeat Baizé at all. The difference was too big. Even if he was a nascent soul cultivator, it would be earth-shattering if he fought with Baizé. But there was no movement at all in the Demon Cave Mountain. Fuck. Master Yuan Jing wanted to cry but had no tears. He was so regretful that he wanted to slap himself a few times. He only needed to hold on for a while, and he wouldn't have to stand opposite Kong Teichu. Was it too late to go back now? The point was, how did Kong Teichu know Baizé? In this world, as long as it was a figure from a certain plane, who wouldn't know of the reputation of the greater demon, Baizé? He was the pet of the Holy Heavens sect's sect master. Several major sects were founded by him. Li Longyuan could only be counted as his disciple and disciple's disciple. He couldn't be ranked at all. The Monster King's arrival is the final word. This time Li Longyuan will definitely lose. Kong Teichu's trump card can't be too violent. All the cultivators who knew Baizé's strength had the same thought in their minds. Everyone knew of great demon Baizé's strength. Moreover, The 8 great demon leaders, and the 13 guardians were all powerful existences. They were existences that were on par with Li Longyuan, Miayu and the others. Both sides had fought before, so Li Longyuan and the others were no match for him. Otherwise, with his ruthless personality, Demon Cave Mountain would have been razed to the ground long ago. In fact, only a few seconds had passed, but everyone felt like tens of thousands of years had passed. Yes. Get up. As Jiang Tian nodded casually and raised his hand slightly, Demon King Baizhe and the other demon generals stood up. Demon King Baizhe's sinister and cold gaze swept across Yuan Zihua, Ku Hai, Daoist Kurenling and the others. Feeling the terrifying killing intent, everyone felt as if they had fallen into an ice cellar. They only felt that the temperature had plummeted by dozens of degrees, causing them to shiver uncontrollably. Why aren't you talking? Didn't my 3 good disciples want to kill my master just now? Baizhe laughed maniacally, and a cold killing intent seeped out from his body like steel needles. It was extremely frightening. All the useless people present, now you can make your move. Baizhe's gaze was cold, and his face was filled with anger. Come, stand out, don't waste the good time. I want to see who is going to make a move. The entire place was dead silent. No one dared to say a word. Ku Hai, are you going to make a move? Baizhe's gaze was cold as he walked in front of Master Ku Hai. He raised his hand and slapped Master Ku Hai's face. A crisp sound rang out, shocking everyone present, causing them to quiver in fright. Blood splattered everywhere, and half of Master Ku Hai's fat face was smashed. I don't dare. Ku Hai only lowered his head in shame, clasped his hands together, and chanted Buddha's name. Fight back. He would not dare to even if he was given 100 guts. Not only because he was Baizhe's disciple, but also because Baizhe had already reached his peak state. Nascent soul. And he was only in the middle stage of the Golden Core realm, and was not a match for him at all. Even if the 3 veteran Golden Core cultivators worked together, they would not be a match for Baizhe. And you, Yuan Zihua, how dare you? Do you dare to challenge my master? Baizhe slapped Yuan Zihua's face again. Slap. Yuan Zihua was sent flying and sprawled on the ground like a dead dog. His face was swollen, and blood seeped out from the corner of his mouth. He sprawled on the ground, looking humiliated and fearful. He did not dare to refute, not to mention resist. Finally he got up slowly and bowed. I don't dare. What ancestor of the Sky Star Palace? What old monster who had been hiding for hundreds of years? What son of Yuan Tiangang? In front of him, the Demon King Baizhe, he was nothing. Because more than 1,000 years ago, after the heavenly god Sex Master fell, Baizhe had already formed his nascent soul. He conquered the world and was invincible. He was the master of this world. The Sky Star Palace, the Giant Sword Sect, the Demon Subduing Temple, and other forces were all established by him with the help of the human cultivators. Their inheritance came from the heavenly god sect. Yuan Tiangang could only be considered as his disciple and grand disciple. Yuan Zihua's status was even lower. Fufu, I don't dare to be your master. Baizhe grabbed Yuan Zihua's hair and slapped him repeatedly. Back then, you guys betrayed me and schemed to kill me, causing my body to shatter. I'm very afraid of you guys. Baizhe slapped him until his nose bled and his face was covered in dirt. He could only cough blood continuously in a wretched manner. Finally, Baizhe sneered and smashed Yuan Zihua to the ground. Bang! A deep pit appeared on the ground and Yuan Zihua laid inside. His body was shattered and blood flowed. He could not resist at all. However, you guys definitely didn't expect that I would recover my cultivation and make a comeback, right? Thereafter, Baizhe looked at Dao Master Kuenling coldly and sneered. Kuenling, you were the most vicious when you attacked me back then, right? Dao Master Kuenling was so scared that his face turned pale. He shuddered and his legs trembled violently. Without another word, Dao Master Kuenling knelt on the ground and slapped himself wildly while begging. I know my mistake. Please spare my life, Master. Piak. Baizhe was filled with killing intent, and did not care if he was begging for mercy. He slapped Dao Master Kuenling again without mercy, and sent him flying dozens of meters away. Didn't you guys say that you wanted to kill my master? Perfected immortal Jiang? Step forward if you have the guts. Bai Zhe stood with his hands akimbo and swept his cold gaze across the crowd, hollering, "Come on, don't you have the advantage in numbers? Aren't you an immortal cultivation sect? Aren't you impressive? Come on out. Weren't you guys clamoring fiercely earlier on? Why aren't you shouting anymore? Are you guys mute?" No one dared to say a word. Everyone looked at Bai Zhe and Jiang Tian in horror, and a chill ran down their spines. Demon King, stop fooling around. Please stop fooling around, alright? How can we be a match for you when the 3 veteran golden cores are already crushed to this extent by you? Perfected immortal Jiang, the 100,000 demon soldiers and generals will form an encirclement. Nobody will be able to escape. At this time, Bai Zhe walked to Jiang Tian and bowed deeply, saying respectfully, "As long as you say the word, whoever you want to die will die." He turned around and swept his cold gaze over the crowd. His murderous aura soared to the heavens as he said, "Or all of you will die." Bai Zhe looked like he was in his teens. He was handsome and otherworldly, like a cold and arrogant teenager next door. He didn't have any powerful cultivation. But once he had the intention to kill, he was like a different person, like an ancient demon beast overlooking this continent. Immediately, a fierce and murderous aura shot to the sky like a giant pillar a few thousand meters tall, splitting the clouds. Surging true essence surged, blotting out the sky and blotting out the sun like raging waves, sweeping out in all directions. "You're just a bunch of despicable people who only know how to play tricks. You don't deserve to die." His cruel, explosive, and cold-killing intent burst out of his body. Instantly, bolts of lightning as thick as buckets danced in the air around him like pythons and dragons. They bared their fangs and brandished their claws, as if they were going to swallow someone at any moment. "Kill them all! Kill them all! Annihilate the Heavenly Star Palace, the Giant Sword Sect, and the Demon-Subduing Temple. Wipe out thousands of sects and worship Kong Techu. Li Longyuan is a pervert. It's time for this place to change owners." "No, that's too rough. We have to roast them medium rare. They're very fresh and tender." On the square, the leaders of the 8 demon clans, the 13 guardians, and the 360 hall masters were filled with righteous indignation and killing intent as they roared. "Tear these despicable people into pieces and eat them. Leave none alive. Eliminate them all." In the sky, the 100,000 demon soldiers and generals were all excited. Their killing intent surged like a tide as they roared together. Their voices were like rolling thunder, echoing 100 kilometers away. Immediately, the earth trembled and the mountains shook. The towering trees were crushed into powder under the overwhelming pressure. Fangzhufeng and even the entire mountain range of Qingqiu Mountain were trembling under the pressure, as if they were about to collapse. Even the distant star capital could not withstand it, and seemed to be collapsing. After Bai Zhe was plotted against, these demons were also banished by the Heavenly Star Palace. Back then, they had a centuries-long war with the Heavenly Star Palace and other sections. They had a blood feud with Li Longyuan and the others. Now their repressed emotions were completely unleashed. All of them were filled with fighting spirit. Their minds were agitated, and their anger burned the heavens. At this moment, everyone in the life and death square could not withstand the pressure. The demonic beast army's overwhelming killing intent and aura scared the souls of the tens of thousands of people present. Bai Zhe's ferocious attitude made everyone feel as if they had fallen into an ice cellar. Their hair stood on end. His words were definitely not an exaggeration. Nor was he trying to scare them. After the fall of the Heavenly Saint Sect's master, Demon King Bai Zhe had once fought with thousands of sects for decades. He had once massacred the entire stellar sky domain until heads rolled and corpses lay on the ground. Thousands of sects wailed like ghosts and howled like wolves as blood flowed like rivers. He had once killed hundreds of mid-stage golden core cultivators with a single sword and swallowed 30,000 human cultivators in one go. It could be said that the Heavenly Star Small World had been reduced to a 4th-grade cultivation dimension. The demonic race's invasion was broken. The Heavenly Saint Sect's master destroyed the array, causing the spirit energy to be imbalanced. The outbreak of the miasma was only part of the reason. More importantly, the war between humans and demons had been caused by Bai Zhe's massacre. Too many Golden Core cultivators had fallen in the battle between humans and demonic beasts. How could this be? At this moment, Li Longyuan's entire body was trembling, and his lips were trembling crazily. His face was filled with dejection, indignation, and despair. He could no longer be arrogant and mighty. Chapter 961. Under extreme anxiety and fear, Li Longyuan, who was already weakened and had little cultivation left, actually had strands of white hair on his temples in a short time. Coupled with his slightly hunched waist, Li Longyuan seemed to have aged 10 years in an instant. Before this, he was full of confidence and arrogance. In his eyes, Jiang Tian was just an ant from the Earth domain after all. He was only at the second stage of the Foundation establishment realm, and his Dantian was injured. Demonic aura had entered his body, and he could not withstand a single blow. On his side, it could be said that he used all his strength even when hunting a rabbit. First, he used salvation to plot against Jiang Tian. Although he did not succeed, he completely isolated Jiang Tian and made him the mortal enemy of the entire stellar sky domain. When his first plan failed, he came up with another one. At the Green Hill Grand Meet, all the leaders of the world's top sects were gathered, and there were tens of thousands of cultivators and thousands of exalted immortals. Logically speaking, this was already a foolproof plan in the eyes of ordinary people. However, Li Longyuan actually had a backup plan. He even awakened 3 veteran Golden Core and Ancestor-level figures in case of any accidents. Only then did he feel assured. It could be said that Li Longyuan's plan was flawless and meticulous. It was like using a crane to smash a bug to death. In anyone's eyes, there was no possibility of failure at all. However, they did not expect it at all. The great demon Baizhe actually appeared and became Jiang Tian's henchman. After all, the great demon Baizhe's appearance was only a legend. One had to know that the great demon Baizhe's physical body was destroyed by Li Longyuan and the veteran Golden Core, and only a damaged essence spirit was left. Many people had always thought that Baizhe could not condense a physical body at all. The rumors of many demon kings appearing were just a bluff to increase the unity of the demon race, and to fight against the thousands of sects. However, the great demon Baizhe really appeared and condensed a powerful physical body and recovered his cultivation. Moreover, he brought 100,000 demon soldiers and demon generals with him. This was not something he could resist. The key was that Baizhe was also together with Kang Teichu. The old and new grudges were all life and death grudges. How could Baizhe let him off? How could Jiang Tian let him off? It was a calamity. It could be said that this time the Starry Sky Palace was absolutely no match for Jiang Tian's group. They would be trampled on and trampled on. Amazing. After a long time, Jiang Tian swept his gaze across the thousands of experts present and spoke slowly. Jiang Tian's voice was light, but to everyone's ears, it sounded like a thunderclap. At the moment, the square was dead silent, just as the entire Green Hill was absolutely silent. In this world, only Jiang Tian's voice could be heard. Other than that, there was only the soft sound of their teeth chattering. When they met Jiang Tian's gaze, all of them went silent like cicadas in the winter, and their gazes revealed deep fear and shock. All of them lowered their heads successively and didn't dare meet Jiang Tian's gaze. In the heavenly star small world, I Kang Teichu am the enemy of the entire world? You have the advantage in numbers? Now take a look whose power is greater. Back then I Kang Teichu said that so what if I am the enemy of the entire world? So what if I am filled with gods and Buddhas? I am not even afraid of true gods. What more you ants? The entire stellar sky domain is nothing in the eyes of I, Kang Teichu. Jiang Tian sneered and questioned with a cold look in his eyes. Now everyone, tell me, which one of you is worthy of being my enemy? Step forward. This time, no one dared to say a word. The entire place was dead silent. Many demon leaders and demon generals worshipped Jiang Tian as their leader, and 100,000 demon soldiers followed. Even the infamous demon king Baizhe, who once dominated the entire star world, knelt before Jiang Tian. That was enough to explain everything. The 3 veteran Golden Core realm experts could only be regarded as the disciples and grand disciples of Demon King Baizhe. How could they challenge Jiang Tian, who was worshipped by Baizé like a god? Jiang Tian had such terrifying strength, status and power. How could these ants, who were not even worthy of carrying Baizé's shoes, be qualified to be Jiang Tian's enemy? At this moment, they all understood. They had underestimated the number one person in the Earth domain, underestimated Jiang Tian. It could even be said that they had eyes but failed to see. Even Demon King Baizé could be suppressed and intimidated. How could they be qualified to provoke him? It was like a group of ants wanting to challenge a divine dragon. It was simply a fool's dream. Li Longyuan, you are wrong again and again. You are extremely stupid, but there is one thing you said that is not without reason. At this moment, Jiang Tian spoke in a leisurely and unhurried manner as he spoke indifferently. In this world, the strong are respected. Killing a few ants is nothing. If the ants dare to challenge me, they should be trampled on. Come, you can judge me and trample on me. I'd like to see how you can judge me. Jiang Tian's voice had not yet faded. Baizé's face darkened. He suddenly attacked and slapped Li Longyuan's head. Bang! Li Longyuan felt as if 10,000 mountains were pressing down on him. All the bones in his body were almost broken. His knees went soft, and he knelt on the ground. Even his head and hands were touching the ground. He was prostrating himself on the ground. On the other hand, Jiang Tian raised his right foot and stepped on Li Longyuan's head. He sneered mockingly and said, Li Longyuan, the palace master of the Stellar Sky Palace, the number one person in the Stellar Sky domain. Come, tell me how you are going to trample on me. Li Longyuan's face was full of humiliation. However, in his heart, there was more fear than humiliation. He was so scared that he was trembling. At this moment, under Jiang Tian's foot, he felt that all his true essence and abilities were sealed. He could not even gather the astral winds to protect his body. He was like a naked baby, unable to withstand a single blow. It could be said that if Jiang Tian stomped down, his head would be smashed into pieces, and he would die. Jiang Tian looked at Master Shixiang and sneered. If I'm not wrong, you thought that I was being treated, so you trapped me in the 1,000 Buddha pagoda, and destroyed my soul. This rotten idea was from you, you old bald thief, right? Master Shixiang was so scared that his heart skipped a beat. His whole body was trembling. He looked at Master Kuhai with a pale face and said in a trembling voice, Old ancestor, save me. I'm doing this for the safety of this world. However, Master Kuhai acted as if he did not see him. He looked down, fiddled with his prayer beads, and chanted Buddha's name. In fact, he was so scared that he almost wet himself. He cursed in his heart. Damn it, why are you calling me? Can't you see that Baizé is here? I can't even save myself. How can I save you? Old people who don't die are thieves. You don't have much ability, but you're good at scheming. Jiang Tian flung his sleeves and snorted in disdain. As Jiang Tian finished speaking, Master Shixiang felt an irresistible suction force coming towards him. In the next moment, Master Shixiang was grabbed by Baizé and was choked by his throat. Baizé wanted Master Shixiang to kneel in front of Jiang Tian. Jiang Tian waved his hand and said indifferently, He's not worthy of kneeling in front of me. Too disgusting. Go to hell. Baizé grabbed Master Shixiang like an eagle grabbing a chick and smashed him onto the ground. Bang. Master Shixiang smashed a deep hole in the square. His bones were broken and his monk robe was torn. His whole body was covered in blood. Blood was coming out of his mouth. Jiang Tian said coldly, Shixiang, I Kong Teichu, have no enmity with your demon-suppressing temple. I even saved your Buddhist disciples. But your demon-suppressing temple is ungrateful and set me up again and again. After that, you slandered me with all your might. You misled the public with your lies and instigated the heroes of the world to be my enemy. You owe me a head. Do you want me to kill you, or let these little bald donkeys of the demon-suppressing temple be buried with you? You only have a breath's time to consider. Jiang Tian's eyes were cold and emotionless. Poof. His hand rose and the knife fell. A bald head flew up. Master Shixiang chose to commit suicide. The headless corpse fell to the ground with blood spurting out. Because he knew that if he didn't commit suicide, the demon-suppressing temple's centuries of Tao teachings would be destroyed, and they would be met with a calamity. At the same time, the 8 demon leaders rushed into the demon-suppressing temple camp like wolves in a flock of sheep. They attacked ruthlessly and a wave of knife light swept out. Poof, 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 poof. Blood gushed out and corpses were strewn everywhere. Blood stained the ground. More than 10 eminent monks and Vajras were decapitated on the spot. Although they were Foundation establishment cultivators, they had almost no strength to resist against the 8 demon leaders. They were the backbone of the demon-suppressing temple, who participated in the plot against Jiang Tian. They had once traveled to various major sects in huge cities, slandering Jiang Tian, and instigating various major forces to besiege Jiang Tian. They deserved their punishment for their crimes. Master Kuhai did not have the slightest bit of resentment. Instead, he chanted the name of Buddha again, and said that these people deserved to be killed. He thanked Immortal Master Jiang for cleaning up the sect. Jiang Tian only killed a few culprits. It could be said that he was too kind. He was extremely benevolent. It would be too easy on you if I left your corpse intact. Bai Zhe slapped down, smashing Master Shixiang's head and corpse into dust. Jiang Tian looked at Shen Tij and sneered. Shen Tij, you disrespected me at Crimson Thunder Mountain. I should have killed you. I only wanted you to send a message, so I gave you a chance to live. I didn't expect you to still be so stubborn and continue to be my enemy. You want to take revenge and besiege me. Immortal Master Jiang, don't kill me. I am a golden core cultivator. I am willing to submit to you and help you govern this world. When he met Jiang Tian's cold eyes, Shen Tij was so scared that he stumbled back. He was full of fear and almost peed on the spot. Cultivators were also human. They were afraid of death, even more so than ordinary people. Because cultivation was to seek longevity and immortality, they viewed life as much more important than ordinary people. At this moment, facing the threat of death, Shen Tij, the Heaven Star War god who had killed tens of thousands of people, was really scared. Golden core? Haha, what kind of trash is that? Does my master need your help? Bai Zhe's eyes were arrogant. He grabbed Shen Tij and sneered. The true immortal Taichu has already given you a chance, and you dare to provoke him? You really don't know what death is. A fool like you doesn't need to kill yourself. I'll kill you. Suddenly, he transformed into a half-human, half-demon form. His head rapidly expanded to the size of a water tank, and he opened his bloody mouth. No! As Shen Tij screamed and begged for mercy, Bai Zhe swallowed Shen Tij's head. Chewing like a whirlwind, Monster King Bai Zhe ate Shen Tij's upper body, lower abdomen, and limbs unhurriedly. When he ate people, it was like a person eating grapes. He even spat out clothes and organs from time to time. Crunch, crunch. The sound of teeth rubbing against bones and swallowing sounded in the silence, making those who heard it almost go crazy. Chapter 962. They had long heard that Bai Zhe was ferocious, and that his killing methods were extremely cruel and bloody. Today they finally saw it for themselves. Swallowing people alive. This kind of killing method simply scared everyone out of their wits. Seng Hongyuan, weren't you all scared out of your wits just now? Didn't you say that I was an ant? Didn't you want to skin me alive and chop me into pieces? However, Jiang Tian's expression did not change. He looked at Seng Hongyuan and his son with a faint smile. Although their cultivation levels were not high enough, and there was a huge gap between them and Shen Tij and Zhou Yunkai, they were arrogant and jumped the highest. Immortal Master Jiang, don't kill me. I know I was wrong. Dad, ancestors, save me. Seng Renwang was so scared that he peed his pants. He knelt on the ground and kowtowed. Who could save him? No one could save him. Immortal Master Jiang, I was blind. Don't kill me. Please be merciful. Seng Hongyuan was so scared that he knelt down and kowtowed nonstop. He just wanted to save his life. At this moment, he was filled with regret. Actually, he originally had the attitude of a bystander, and was not as active as Shen Tij and Fang Jingqiang. However, he was so arrogant after hearing that Jiang Tian's cultivation level was at the second level of Foundation establishment. Anyway, he was just stepping on ants. He had the moral high ground, and could win Li Longyuan's favor. Why not? However, he never thought that it would end like this. Be merciful? It's too late. As soon as Jiang Tian finished speaking. Skin you alive and chop you into pieces? Sure. A demon leader who had formed a demon core had a ferocious expression. He reached out his scaly hand and grabbed Seng Hongyuan. Crack. His right hand grabbed Seng Hongyuan's ankle, and used a secret technique to pull out all the tendons in his body. Ah. Spare me. True immortal Jiang, I know I was wrong. Seng Hongyuan's bloodstained body turned into noodles. He screamed and his eyes were filled with fear and pleading. Chi, chi, chi. The great demon's eyes were ferocious. Without saying a word, it grabbed the top of his head, and a thick wave of vital chi entered his body through the wound. Immediately, his skin was removed, and his clothes exploded, leaving only a naked and bloody body lying on the ground. During this process, Seng Hongyuan kept cursing, and then he screamed miserably. He struggled with all his might, and his throat was broken. Finally, he fainted from the pain. The whole place was dead silent. Everyone felt their scalps go numb. Their hearts suddenly tightened and exploded. No one had expected that Seng Hongyuan, who had always been so fierce and arrogant, threatening Jiang Tian that he would pull out Jiang Tian's tendons, peel off his skin, and chop him into pieces, would have such a tragic end. True immortal Jiang, please give me a quick death. After a while, Seng Hongyuan woke up. His eyelidless eyes seemed to be protruding. He rolled his eyes and begged weakly. Good. Jiang Tian frowned. Jiang Tian had seen all kinds of cruel killing methods, but in fact, Jiang Tian had no intention of torturing him. It was just that these demon clan members were originally quite vicious, and they had the attitude that they had to correct the wrong. They wanted to use a bloody massacre to fiercely intimidate the Starry Sky Palace's henchmen. Remember to thank true immortal Jiang for his kindness. The demon clan leader shouted and attacked without hesitation. His sharp saber swept and lifted Seng Hongyuan up. Then he slashed horizontally and vertically. Chi, chi, chi. Blood gushed out like a fountain. Seng Hongyuan's head flew over 10 meters away, and was chopped into hundreds of pieces. His body parts fell to the ground like rain. Ji, 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 ji. Seeing this, Seng Renwang fell to the ground in fright. He twitched violently as if he had epilepsy. His mouth was crooked, and his eyes were slanted. Green bile seeped out of the corner of his mouth. Although this grandson is just an ant, he is quite disgusting. Kill him. Jiang Tian said indifferently. Pooh, pooh. A hall master stepped forward and stabbed Seng Renwang in the heart. Seng Renwang's voice stopped abruptly. Then, a few demon generals swarmed forward. Their sabers slashed wildly. They chopped Seng Renwang into minced meat and slaughtered more than 10 members of the Tseng family. None of them were left alive. Yuanjing. Sect leader Shi, everyone from the Li River Sword sect. Jiang Tian looked around and said calmly, True immortal Jiang, we know our mistakes. Please spare our lives. Yuanjing, sect leader Shi, and the others looked as if they were struck by lightning. Their faces were as pale as paper, and cold sweat covered their faces. Their bodies trembled violently. They knelt on the ground and kowtowed crazily. Their foreheads hit the ground heavily, making muffled sounds. What did you all say in front of the Jadewell Peak? That you would work with me for the great cause and never leave me. Jiang Tian's face was emotionless. He said calmly, You all betrayed me. You've betrayed me. I've already given you a chance by ignoring you. I asked you to leave the Fangzhou Peak to give you another chance. Jiang Tian said with a mocking tone. But when Yuan Zihua and the others came, you flaunted your strength in front of me. Sometimes, I wonder if I'm too kind. I killed too few people and you think I'm easy to bully? That's why you made me your enemy time and time again. The sect leader of the Li River Sword sect and Yuanjing did not dare to speak. They could only tremble nonstop. True immortal Jiang, I have good intentions. I don't want to see you. Cult leader Shi's charming face put on a pitiful expression. She wanted to explain a few more words. Shut up. Bai Zhe slapped her to the ground and shouted angrily. True immortal Jiang, do you need the support of Yuan Zihua and the others? Who do you think you are to be true immortal Jiang's enemy? These two-faced fence-sitters are even more disgusting than Li Longyuan. Kill them, Jiang Tian said coldly. Yes, master. The demons closed in and surrounded Wisdom Temple, Li River Sword Sect and Snake Desire Sect, massacring them like tigers entering a flock of sheep. The three sects did not have the strength to resist at all. Instantly, saber lights flashed and blood gushed out as tragic cries filled the air. A few breaths later, 400 cultivators were lying in a pool of blood. Blood flowed everywhere within 100 meters of the square, creating a glaring scarlet color. The pungent smell of blood filled the air, enough to make people tumble. Master, the headquarters of Wisdom Temple, Li River Sword Sect and Snake Desire Sect have been destroyed by us. All the disciples guarding the sects have been killed. Another demon general covered in blood descended from the sky and knelt in front of Jiang Tian to report. Jiang Tian only nodded slightly, and he was calm and composed. How terrifying! At that moment, everyone was scared out of their wits when they saw that. Their bodies felt as though they had fallen into an ice cellar as they shuddered. Previously, Miayu, Shintij and Fiend Suppression Temple had interacted with Jiang Tian. In fact, Miayu had even openly provoked Jiang Tian and insulted Jiang Tian for fishing for fame. However, Jiang Tian did not kill all of them. Many people felt that Jiang Tian was not ruthless enough, and it was as though it was fine to provoke him. At that moment, they realized that Jiang Tian was a peerless fiend who would seek revenge for the smallest grievance and was cold to the extreme. His might was inviolable. Kill all of them. Leave no one alive. Directly annihilate these three forces, leaving not a single one of their descendants behind. In fact, even a sect master or city lord like Miayu was shivering in fear and could not contain the fear in his heart. Miayu. In the silence, Jiang Tian suddenly looked at Miayu and said coldly, "Actually, I've asked your disciple to tell you before. However, you provoked me again and again, and even made me your enemy. Do you know your sins? Indeed, I was blind to have offended you, perfected immortal Jiang." Miayu smiled bitterly, his heart filled with mixed feelings. He sighed. "But at that time, I did want to fulfill your wish and protect you. However, you rejected me. That's why I flew into a rage." Smack! Suddenly, a slap landed on Miayu's face. Blood spurted out of her nose and her face turned pale. However, the person who hit her was not Jiang Tian, but Demon King Baizhe. "Protect my master?" Baizhe laughed. His laughter was filled with disdain. "My master can even kill the tree demons of Chaos Cloud Valley, and his combat power is comparable to a golden core cultivator. Does he need your protection?" As soon as he said that, others were fine. However, Yuan Zihua, Master Kuhai and Dao Master Kuanling's expressions changed, and they looked at Jiang Tian as if they had seen a ghost. "What? Immortal Master Jiang killed the tree demon?" They all exclaimed in disbelief. The tree demon had been suppressed more than 1,000 years ago and hadn't appeared for a long time. Many people didn't know where it came from. Even Miayu's generation didn't know much about it. However, the experienced Golden Core cultivators knew about it. That was an existence that even the Heavenly God Sect's master and great monster, Baizhe, had to be wary of. Many Golden Core overlords had died in order to suppress the Fiend Tree Demon in Chaos Cloud Valley. However, Jiang Tian had actually killed him with a raise of his hand. He killed the Fiend Tree Demon. His power is unfathomable. The key is his divine powers and combat power. He's indeed at the third level of the Foundation establishment level. But he's much more powerful than a Golden Core cultivator. I'm afraid we won't be able to catch up with him even if we wait for another 10 years. At first, the three ancestral patriarchs thought that Jiang Tian only relied on Baizhe to bully others. They were even a little unwilling, and thought that if Baizhe wasn't around, they might be able to kill Jiang Tian. But at this moment, when they heard this, their unwillingness and weak pride instantly turned into fear and cold sweat. All that was left in their hearts was their deep respect and fear for Jiang Tian. Chapter 963. Miayu, I won't kill you, but you can't escape punishment. Jiang Tian didn't care about their shock. He looked at Miayu indifferently and set the tone. Although you're not an evil person, you're too stubborn, arrogant, and cold. You lack the big picture. Jiang Tian stood with his hands behind his back and said coldly, slap yourself 30 times as a warning. From now on, you have to remember that there's always someone better than you. I know I'm wrong. Miayu was convinced. He knelt on the ground, raised his hand, and slapped himself. At this time, Jiang Tian finally looked down and mocked Li Longyuan. Li Longyuan, this battle started because of you. If it weren't for you and the Heavenly Star Palace coveting Earth, I wouldn't have come here. And so many people wouldn't have died. Today you must die. Kong Teichu, retribution is not good. You've caused a storm of blood today, and you must suffer retribution. At this time, Li Longyuan knew that he couldn't survive today, so he threw caution to the wind. He grinned, and his blood-stained face was twisted like an evil ghost, miserable and full of resentment. Retribution? Ding Lai stepped forward and kicked his head. He said coldly, why didn't you say retribution when you killed people, set fires, and bullied the good? He kicked him again and shouted angrily, why didn't you say retribution when you went around killing people and robbing Dharma treasures? How many people have you killed? You even killed a 3-year-old child and your Dharma companion. How many orphans and widows have you left behind? Now your ending is retribution for your killing in the past. Are you done fighting? Li Longyuan, on the other hand, appeared very calm. You idiots! You don't know the danger that exists now. The Heavenly Star Small World can't hold on any longer. It will collapse in 300 years. I'm not plundering heavenly treasures for myself, but to upgrade to a level 3 small world, so that we can have a new place to live. I don't think I did anything wrong. Speaking of which, it's just a case of the winner taking all. Hearing this, Jiang Tian smiled but didn't say anything. There was no need to pay attention to such an idiot. Besides, was he really doing this for Heavenly Star Small World? He was just doing it for himself. Kong Teichu, don't laugh, don't be so smug. Li Longyuan looked at Jiang Tian mockingly. The Heavenly Star Small World is only a level 4 hidden sect space. There's still a level 3 hidden sect, the Dragon Gate World, many level 2 hidden sects, and the Supreme Immortal Ruins. There are countless golden core cultivators there, and there is no lack of nascent soul and nascent soul cultivators. He laughed out loud and said coldly, there is a spatial shuttling array that leads to the Stellar Sky Domain. They come here to patrol every once in a while. Moreover, they already knew that there was a rising powerhouse on Earth, and they had already decided to kill him. It won't be long before they come here. When that time comes, they will discover your existence, and that you have occupied the Heavenly Star Small World. You will die a horrible death. They will crush you like an ant. He roared crazily. Kong Teichu, cherish this time because you don't have many days left. When the powerhouses of the Immortal Ruins come, it will be the day of your death. Ha ha ha. He glanced at the surrounding cultivators fiercely and roared. And all of you, how dare you betray the Immortal Ruins and submit to an ant from Earth? You will be completely punished by the Immortal Ruins. Noisy. Jiang Tian snorted and unleashed his soul-devouring divine sense. It surged out like a black tentacle and swallowed his divine sense. Ow ow ow. I can't accept this. I'm a rare genius. I'm a wise ruler. Li Longyuan screamed miserably, like a vengeful ghost. Suddenly, his eyes turned white and became dull. His divine sense had been taken away. At the same time, Jiang Tian's body flashed with green light, and the swaying divine tree burst out. Green branches reached out like ghostly claws and tore open his dantian, grabbing a golden core that shone with golden light. Pa. Then he took all the storage artifacts and Dharma treasures, and put them into the sky-devouring demonic gourd. Finally, the purple lightning eyes in Jiang Tian's eyes flashed. 2 electric pythons as thick as arms surged out, and turned Li Longyuan into a piece of charcoal. The entire place was dead silent. Everyone was dumbfounded, and their hearts were heavy. Li Longyuan was dead. Everyone realized that Li Longyuan's era had come to an end. It was completely over. Perfected immortal, we are willing to submit to exalted immortal Jiang and serve him. From now on, The entire stellar sky domain will worship perfected immortal Jiang. We will obey all your orders. You are the ruler of the stellar sky domain, the ruler of this world. Thud. Daoist Kuanling, Yuan Zihua, and Master Kuhai all fell to their knees and kowtowed. When the three supergiants knelt down, the others also reacted with a shudder and kowtowed in unison. Sect leader of the Sky Wolf sect, Chen Qishuan, greets perfected immortal Jiang. We are willing to worship perfected immortal Jiang and become the new ruler of the stellar sky domain. One by one, the sect leaders, city lords, sect leaders, and cultivators fell to their knees. In an instant, it was like wheat being blown down by a hurricane. A moment later, the entire Qingqiu mountain, tens of thousands of cultivators, fell to their knees and bowed, afraid that they would be judged by Jiang Tian if they were too late. Now Jiang Tian's strength was not something they could fathom. They were in awe of him. He defeated 2 golden core cultivators in a row, and forced a nascent soul demon king to submit. Now, apart from the vast ruins of immortality, there were probably not many in the second or third class small worlds who could do anything to him. With such an expert as the ruler of the heavenly star small world, there was no one who would not submit to him. On the mountain peak further away, watching the veteran golden core cultivators, sect leaders, and city lords who could shake the heavenly star small world with a stomp of their feet kneel and submit to Jiang Tian. Everyone felt that what they saw today was more exciting than what they had seen in their entire lives. Everyone realized that an era had ended, but a new one had begun. This battle had far-reaching effects and would completely rewrite the history of the stellar sky domain. It would definitely cause huge waves and even affect the entire hidden sect's mystic realm and the structure of the multidimensional worlds. One person suppressing an entire world. I didn't think that he would really succeed. In the crowd, Chu Yunxiu's pretty face was filled with shock and disbelief. She felt that everything was so unreal. Many scenes of her first meeting with Jiang Tian flashed in front of her eyes. Every time Jiang Tian said something bold, she thought it was nonsense. Her impression of this person was getting worse and worse. Because of her preconceived impression that no one in the Earth domain could ever challenge the stellar sky domain. Even if Jiang Tian exposed his strength, she firmly believed that Jiang Tian would not win. She first sought refuge with Bai Zhe, and then tried to seek refuge with the Stellar Sky Palace. One wrong step led to many wrong steps. In the end, she completely fell into eternal damnation. At this moment, when she thought of her repeated offenses, she could not help but be horrified. Her face was pale, and the strong regret in her heart rose and fell. Even the 3 rivers and 5 seas could not wash it away. After all, Jiang Tian had just come to this world and was like a rootless duckweed. The first thing he needed was to find allies and supporters. Moreover, Jiang Tian's ultimate goal was the ruins of immortality. Jiang Tian did not want to stay here for long. These supporters would also become Jiang Tian's representatives in this world. The first major force that Jiang Tian went to was the Jade Well Peak. If she had been discerning, she would have a very high status now. She would be second only to one person and above all others. However, her emotions did not last long. Jiang Tian threw a look at her. Quite fresh. This girl, I have been thinking about her for a day or two. The old dragon ran forward and opened its bloody mouth. Amidst her shrill screams, it swallowed her alive. Her death did not even attract the attention of others. After all, she was just a small fry. In the sky far away, Fairy Miao Yi's pretty face was filled with complicated emotions. Her beautiful eyes were filled with indescribable emotions. Shock, joy, regret, bitterness, perhaps a little of all. His lover in the Earth domain. How lucky she is to have the chance to stand side by side with him. However, in the end, her countless emotions all turned into a sigh. This kind of Jiang Tian, who dared to fight 5 perfected immortals and 100 exalted immortals, who could suppress Jiang Tian alone, was not someone she should be delusional about. She was not worthy of him. She threw away all her fantasies and only felt envious. She envied Jiang Tian's lover whom she had never met. This was because not only was Jiang Tian powerful, but he was also not like other cultivators who cut off their emotions and desires in the name of their Tao heart. They were cold and heartless, and they went to the extreme of being excessively promiscuous. Jiang Tian's love for Zhao Xueqing was as deep as the sea. Brother Jiang won. Ding Lingdang was grinning from ear to ear. She cheered and jumped up and down, the bells on her wrists and ankles jingling. We won. We finally won. The cute Xiaoying Luo was so happy that tears streamed down her face. Her voice was choked with sobs. As perfected immortal Zhang's little brother, I should be able to play at Spring Fragrance Brothel for free. Haha. The stinky monkey was so excited that he somersaulted a few times and almost fell off the cliff. Cough cough. Monkey, don't embarrass yourself, okay? You must be upright at this occasion. Jiang Yunhe coughed lightly to remind him. He was very glad in his heart. Although he and Jiang Tian got to know each other through fighting, he had never betrayed Jiang Tian since then. No way. Come on here, pinch me. Let me see if I'm dreaming. Jiang Haishan still couldn't believe it. He knew that he had made the right bet this time. He had made a big profit. Soon, Jiang Tian would definitely clean up a group of people and put a group of people in important positions. But there were too few people who were loyal to Jiang Tian from the beginning to the end, and there were too few people who could be used. He was at least the city lord of a big city. At this time, thousands of sects surrendered, and the Golden Core perfected immortals knelt on the ground. Jiang Tian had his hands behind his back. His eyes swept across the crowd, especially staring at the 3 veteran Golden Cores. Xiaobai, these 3 veteran Golden Core cultivators used to be your disciples and betrayed you. It's up to you to decide whether to kill or keep them. Jiang Tian said lightly. Bai Zai's face flashed with a few vicissitudes of life and complexity. He seemed to think of the past and was a little angry, but also a little regretful. Finally, he took a deep breath and respectfully clasped his fists. My lord, you are now the master of this continent. This matter should be decided by you. Everything should proceed from the overall situation. Personal grudges are just small matters. Xiaobai, you have a good view of the overall situation. Jiang Tian patted his shoulder. He had made up his mind, and his sharp eyes fell on the 3 veteran Golden Cores. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.